a new film directed by Quentin Tarantino. Pulp Fiction.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Let's Talk Movies podcast with John and David. My name is John, that's David, aka Shamrock Balls, and today here on the show we are going to be discussing my second favorite film of all time, Pulp Fiction. But it's not all about me, it's also about my co-host David. And David, are you ready for this today?
Don't fucking Shamrock Balls me, John, okay? Don't fucking Shamrock Balls me. I would say that suggests that I'm ready for this one, John.
I hope so, man. I hope so. This is one I've told you that I've been anticipating for a very long time, but also a little bit nervous because for a little peek behind the curtains of what David and I do, we usually don't do movies this long. We've attempted them in the past and split it up into two parts, but that didn't really work out. So we were like, how do we fit a long movie into what we usually do, how we structure the show? So it's going to be a fun little experiment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, John, it is. It is a wee experiment. This is a movie that we both love. As you said, it's your second favorite movie of all time. So I'm really excited for you to do this. So I am. So as I've been telling you behind the scenes, we wanted to bring your A game to this, and I'm sure you will. But yeah. So ordinarily, when I narrate through the movie, I would take notes. I would also take dialogue. But for this movie is just totally dialogue driven. So it is. So I was going to sit and write that out, and I'm sure the audience doesn't want to hear me just recite dialogue for so many hours. So what we're going to do is the usual. We'll break the scenes down. We'll go through scene by scene, but we'll have to read it from the screenplay if we want to divulge any of the dialogue. So it is going to be a wee bit of an experiment. It is going to be a wee bit of we slight change the way we usually do things, but we're confident it's still going to turn out well.
Yeah, I think it's going to turn out great because it is a very popular film amongst many cinephiles. And for me, I'll start it off like this. The reason why it's my second favorite film, I can't let it pass the Terminator. I found Terminator and Terminator 2 before I found Pulp Fiction. And, I love those movies. I watched them a ton of times. But when I found Pulp Fiction, it made me a cinephile, I would say. It made me just blown away by how the movie was structured. Like I never knew about nonlinear storytelling, like how they can do this. Like, we start with Vincent and Jules. Well, we don't start with them, but we're with them, and then we cut to the part 2, which is Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, and like they show up and they're wearing these fucking weird ass clothes and they look like a couple of dorks, and then you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, how'd they get in those clothes? Yeah. We just missed this whole thing. And I was just like blown away by the filmmaking, and it made me interested in how people make movies instead of just watching a movie for entertainment purposes. I was like I wanted to know how the sauce was made, and it kind of got me more involved in that aspect of filmmaking, which is something I know you love as well.
I think it explained a wee bit on our Reservoir Dogs podcast, because that was the first Tarantino movie we done on the show, on the podcast on the show. And with the intention of getting the Pulp Fiction. Now, Reservoir Dogs is my favorite from Tarantino's, so it was only natural that it started with his first. I remember I had seen Reservoir Dogs before I'd even seen Pulp Fiction, so I very much anticipated it because there was a lot of buzz around at the time for Pulp Fiction. And it really became a pop culture phenomenon. It was a movie that came along that everybody was quoting. It really did have a big impact. And then the soundtrack as well. Everybody was listening to the soundtrack too. And when I eventually watched it, as you say, it was very unconventional to what you would expect from a major motion picture, how it was non-linear. And I remember kind of like, when Travolta's killed, being in shock that he died halfway through the movie. You're not expecting that at all. It was kind of like a psycho moment. But for him to come back for the last act, he was alive again. That's what it was like. And when they're in the cafe at the end, the diner at the end, because that opening, by this stage, you've probably forgot about, but when it brings you back to that and you see them two characters about to rob the diner, you're like, we're back at the start. This all makes sense now.
Yep, exactly. We're back. Like it all comes full circle of like what the film is. You get these two characters back from like you said, you kind of forgot about him. And the way Vincent dies, it's almost like we're with this guy and he's a big part of the first two acts of the movie or the first 2 segments, and he just dies with like no lines. Like, and he was killed by a guy we just got introduced to. You don't expect him to come walking out of the bathroom like that, and bam, blown away, and like that's it. And then they come back, and it's just like, oh my god. And you know, Tarantino is my favorite director, and a lot of it
Mhm.
is obviously because of Pulp Fiction, and then going back to Reservoir Dogs, and I like Kill Bill, and I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Jackie Brown. He's also such a big film fan, and he's not one of those directors who hides the fact that he's basically taking things from other movies, but other movies that you might not even be aware of. Like he takes a lot from like black
Mm.
exploitation movies, 70s films, like this very much. I saw this before I saw any of those kinds of movies. So it's like going back and learning about film and seeing where his inspiration from. Because when I was watching this with Faith the other night, she's like, when does this movie take place? Like, it takes place in the 70s? I'm like, no, it takes place in 1994. She's like, really? She's like, no one dressed like that in 1994. I'm like, I know. He's like just paying homage to the things he loves. Like, all of
Uh-huh.
that is just stuff that I just adore about like his filmmaking. But I think still, even though he's made 7 films since this, it's still my favorite of his movies. That's why it's my second favorite film of all time. So of course, it's pretty damn high up on the list. Even though I can admit about Quentin Tarantino, as much as I love him, it's not like Steven Spielberg doing interviews. Like for him, he comes off a little bit pretentious, arrogant, and can be a bit of an asshole, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, that was the thing as well. I made note of saying that this movie basically made Tarantino a household name.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew who Tarantino was. Then you had the phrases like Tarantino-esque, which came after this. I mean, this changed cinema in a lot of ways when it was released. Everybody wanted to be like Tarantino with
Oh
the
yeah.
witty dialogue and what he actually done, and he done it Reservoir Dogs first, but because this movie here was Reservoir Dogs became more of like a cult hit. It wasn't in the mainstream, and I think that when this came along, it was so mainstream. He had these kind of unsavory characters talking like everyday people, talking about pop culture, making pop culture references, going for breakfast. You know what I mean? Talking about what's on television. But things you wouldn't associate with bad guys. Because when you're watching a movie with bad guys, they're always talking about bad things, right? But now you've got bad guys talking about things that you can relate to. Um, you know, food, things like that. That was that tapped into something with a lot of people. And I think then a lot of people went back and visited Reservoir Dogs after this and anticipated his next movie, which was Jackie Brown. But I mean, I remember, and I think I told this story before. Like, I was in secondary school when this came out, and I remember being like an art class. And in art class, we were allowed to play music, and we were playing the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Um, and of course, when I got to Comanche, everybody started laughing, because and the teachers, I don't think had seen it, and they were like, "Why is getting so kind of like hysterical over that tune?"
They don't know. They don't know what the movie was about, which is great. And I mean, the music is a big part of the film in general, just because it's kind of like a carryover from Reservoir Dogs, where he had the through line of having all the songs playing on the radio. In this movie, he has songs from that same era. Like clearly, he just loves the 1970s, and that's where all the music in this movie comes from.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's these. This is the thing. We're in 2026. I mean, I'm a middle-aged man. I don't listen to modern music, right?
Yeah.
So he's got characters in the early 90s who grew up in the 70s. So naturally, they're going to listen to music from previous decades. They're not going to listen to modern music. So, but I think you're right. It is more just to satisfy his own his own creative ego rather than the characters.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely 100%. If you ever look up like how he grew up, where he grew up, and it's definitely a callback to like how he was as a person, in which a lot of people take inspirations from where they were in their lives, and they want to showcase the things that they love on the screen when they're making their movies. So it makes a lot of sense is that these are the things that he would want to show, the music that he likes. And I totally get that. I mean, the guy's ego is so huge. He puts himself in all his movies, and he is not a good actor. I mean, but he loves to, give it a try.
I think this is his best performance. What do you think? Apart from maybe Reservoir Dogs.
I think so. Even like, he gets pretty good. There are times where it feels like, oh man, he was practicing his lines so hard. It still feels like he's reading lines.
Yeah, definitely. And we will get to that, John. We will get to that. But as I say, though, this movie had a big impact on me. I was at that age. I was at the right age, to really kind of like get into this movie. And this movie made me a Tarantino fan. I just feel as if he never hit the heights of the 90s again. That's not to say that any of the movies that came after was bad. Just the movies he done after this, I just never really took to as much as it did the ones he done in the 90s. I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was very good, but that's about it.
Yeah, and that does kind of feel back like a callback to what he was doing, because this is the middle part of his LA trilogy of movies, you can call it, in the sense that, each of the movies take place in Los Angeles and kind of different parts of Los Angeles. He's showing where he's from. So that makes a lot of sense. And then he kind of starts with like the revisionist kind of films that he does. Like, he's said that he has like two universes. There's the universe where he makes these movies where people operate in the real world, and then there's those movies that he makes where the characters in those real world films, if they were to go to the movies, these would be the movies that they're seeing, which are like the Kill Bills, Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards. Like, he's taking places at like moments in time, but like they're just so over the top, and it's a little bit different than like these movies are a little bit over the top, over exaggerated, but they still can feel a little bit realistic.
Yeah, well, I think I think Jackie Brown and Reservoir Dogs for me are the most realistic. This one here is very. I think Pulp Fiction to me comes across as very cartoonish.
Really?
And I know, yeah, I think so. I think it comes across as very cartoonish. Yeah,
It's very
in a
much
lot
a
of ways.
gangster film in a lot of ways, like not in a very like believable sense. Yeah, I get what you're saying with the cartoonish, like where certain characters come from, the way they're dressed. Like nobody would be walking around looking like that, like even in 1994, and doing those kinds of things. And some of it's like kind of
No, but
unbelievable.
even like yeah, but even like the colors and stuff that he's using, and how the characters present themselves, and some of the things of what they're doing. I mean, you don't see a cop in the whole movie, and they're firing guns at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you see a cop who's just raping people.
He's a security guard.
Yeah, it's law enforcement. I mean, I don't know how a cop didn't follow them. I was thinking about that yesterday. When he shot the fucking girl, like, was helping him out of the car, like Bruce Wilson, Marcellus Wilson. I'm like, no cop follows them. Like, they only went down the block. No one pointed out. Like, they went in that building right there. Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. That's what I mean. I just find it, and I don't mean that a slur. It just, you know what I mean, on the movie. You're talking about over the top, exaggerated, and more realistic. I find Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown more realistic than this.
Yeah,
It's
Jackie
it's a
Brown's
bit of a
probably the most
caper.
real. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
But Jackie Brown is also the only one of his movies not based on something he wrote, so he kind of had to keep
yeah,
that at least
based on a
in the
book.
same vein. Yeah, Rum Punch, right?
Yeah, that's right. So he based on I think he wrote the screenplay, but it's based on this book.
Hmm. Yeah, which also has
Mhm.
one of the only characters to ever overlap in another movie that's not his. Ray Nicolette, played by Michael Keaton, shows up in another movie, which is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, because it's got the Elmore Leonard tie-in, and that's what that character is. He pops up in multiple books. And hey, you know what? Cool for us because we love Michael Keaton. He's Batman. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Brilliant. So are you ready to move into production, John?
Yes, I am.
The budget was $8 million.
Very much an
So
indie
it was.
film.
So Pulp Fiction was conceived by Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary, who wanted to make a film telling three separate stories containing characters that weave between each other. Both contributed to the writing process. So apparently they conceived this in like the 1980s that they would do this. And some of the stories were actually in True Romance, parts of them, part of some of the scenes, and then they put them into this. So they did. So producer Lawrence Bender brought the script to Miramax, who picked it up after Columbia TriStar done a U-turn on making the movie due to concerns over its content and jumbled narrative. Tarantino had hoped TriStar, headed by former Iran founder Meg Matavoy, would have taken on the project. However, he ironically thought it was too violent. Miramax ended up being the only bidders.
You would think that more people, I mean, at the time would be bidding on this because he did also sell 2 screenplays in between, which were True Romance and Natural Born Killers. You'd think more people would be like, okay, this guy's becoming a commodity. But I also understand it's a very violent film, and the rape scene alone probably turned people off.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mick McAvoy, being founder of Orion, had done movies like RoboCop, and they're saying that Pulp Fiction is too violent. So it probably is more to do with, I mean, obviously there was concerns about the drug use and, as you say, the rape scene and stuff like that. So that's why they done a U-turn on it. And when uh, Lawrence Bender brought it to Miramax, and it was Harvey Weinstein read it and wanted to do it, so he thought he was going to be in a bidding war, and nobody else bid for it.
That's tough. It's also got the Jersey Films production company behind it, which is Danny DeVito's company, which is always pretty cool as well.
They bought the right state before Reservoir Dogs was even out.
Oh, really?
So they had the right state. Then, and they were looking for a company to team up with to produce it, and they teamed up with TriStar, and they had an option to make it at first refusal. And then when Reservoir Dogs became a hit, they greenlit it and then done a U-turn. And that's how it ended up being brought to Miramax. And then they thought that they were going to bid on it. There was going to be like a bidding war. And then they bid on it and got it. So that's basically what happened there. Yeah. So that's how all them were involved. That's how there's so many different production companies at the start. They all had a wee piece of it somewhere, you know?
Yeah, which still less production companies than most modern day films come out. Now you see about 8 freaking logos before a movie starts.
Yeah. Now we've only 4 in this one.
Yeah. Well, I just saw a movie that we're going to be talking about pretty soon, Disclosure Day, yesterday, and it's so rare that you see a movie that you just see the Universal logo pop up with the Amblin Entertainment logo, and it's like that's it. They're the only 2 production companies on the whole movie. I'm like, man, it's just such a different world now.
Well, it makes you think that was done on purpose, doesn't it?
It felt that way. Honestly, that's what popped in my head. It's just because now I'm just so used to going to see a movie and just seeing like loads of like, oh, are we in the movie? Oh no, it's just a production company again. Wait, this got to be the no, it's just a production company again.
Yeah, it's true, very true. So we'll go into the main cast, John.
Okay.
So so we've got John Travolta as Vincent Vega. So was conceived to be played by Michael Madsen, who played Vic Vega, the character's brother in Reservoir Dogs. Madsen had to turn it down as he signed on to do Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner. The studio wanted to cast Daniel Day-Lewis, but executive producer Danny DeVito, who you just mentioned, reminded them that Tarantino wanted John Travolta, and he had final cut and cast approval.
Yeah, and it's funny because I heard a story from Tarantino saying that he was actually talking to Travolta. They spent the night together having drinks, and he was talking about having him in a different movie. I can't remember what the movie was, but Travolta really liked Vincent Vega. Like, he really wanted to be in Pulp Fiction, but at the time it was already Michael Madsen's role, so he couldn't guarantee it. But I guess this kind of all came together with Danny DeVito being like, okay, well, I liked him. He was interested anyway, so this all kind of works out for us.
See, I'm kind of wondering. I should have maybe done research here. So you have Vincent Vega and you have Vic Vega, and later on after this movie, there was talk that that Tarantino was going to make a movie about the Vega brothers, and it was going to star Michael Madsen and John Travolta. But I originally thought that it was Vic Vega was supposed to be in this, and it got me thinking that, well, but he dies in both movies, so how can it be? So I'm wondering, was it changed that he died and they had to change it to Vincent?
Yeah, I think that maybe that was the case. I mean, he definitely sometimes I wonder if Tarantino tells the truth all the time or if he just tells stories, because there's things that have popped up in stories over the years which contradicted things that I had heard in the past from him. So, that's one of them. Like, he's like that, but he's like Travolta was interested, and that's kind of why it kind of worked out. He kind of wanted, I think it was From Dusk Till Dawn, they wanted him to play a character in. But he was really interested in this. But I'm not entirely sure exactly. Either way, or we got Vincent Vega being the brother of Vic Vega, and it all kind of come together because they're both kind of violent people, and it would make sense that they're brothers. So it all evened out. And also, this is what saved Travolta's career, because people and it's funny because people look at this as a big negative on him, is that he just basically he couldn't have a hit in the 80s except for the Look Who's Talking movies. But Man, I fucking love Look Who's Talking, and I don't care like what other people think of that movie. That was always my first introduction to Travolta anyway, and I always loved him as in
Yeah.
those in the three films, but mainly the first one.
Well, Grease was my introduction to
Danny
John
Zuko.
Travolta. Danny Zuko. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba. Loved Grease. We had on VHS, used to watch it all the time. So that's where I knew him from. Whereas my cousin, I think I told this, I'm not sure if I told the story before. I heard a story that he only knew him from Pulp Fiction. So when Grease came on the TV one day, he was in stitches because he didn't realize that John Travolta made his name in Greece, and he couldn't believe that was him. Whereas I'm the opposite. I was kind of like, oh, I knew he was in Greece. I watched Greece for years. So I mean, like you said about Tarantino stealing from other directors through the years. One thing that he loves to do, and again, it's self-indulgent, just like the music, right? Is like he always wants to work with guys that he grew up admiring.
Yeah.
And it so happened that Travolta wasn't as big as he had been with Saturday Night Fever and Grease and movies like that, and was doing Look Who's Talking. And Tarantino wanted him for this, and it revived his career. I think Tarantino was just like, he's not thinking about reviving his career. He's just thinking about, no, I want to do this movie with you. And that's all he wants. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Whereas the studio's maybe looking for star power. We've got this script from a relatively unknown. It's a risky one because we don't know how it's going to be perceived. Drug use, rape, violence. We need a star name in there. Just like Harvey Keitel really helped Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, you get that star name, and exactly you need that in there with a bunch amongst a bunch of other unknowns, which the rest of the cast is filled with honestly a mix of unknowns and returning faces, and big name actors, but also other actors who really never really got their big shot.
It's a real ensemble, John, and
Truly.
we'll go through them. It really is, and we'll go through I have 5 kind of main ones, and then we can talk about the other ones as we go along. So our next relatively unknown, say relatively, he'd been in a few movies. He might be, if you're watching the rewatchables, if he hadn't have done this movie, he might be he's that guy, right? Because we done a movie with him earlier on in the year called Jurassic Park. What's that?
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. And he is Samuel L. Jackson as Jules Winfield. So this was written for Lawrence Fishburne, formerly known as Laurie.
Yep, exactly. Which again, remember I was talking about contradictions?
Mm-hmm.
I heard a story years ago that Samuel Jackson was supposed to play the Tim Roth's partner in Reservoir Dogs, and Samuel Jackson couldn't do it because he was doing something else at the time. And he went to the premiere, and Quentin Tarantino went up to him and said, "How'd you like your part?" And he's like, "I loved it. I wish I could have done it." And he's like, "Don't worry, I'm writing some for you in Pulp Fiction, in my next movie." And then, then I heard the story that you're telling right now about it being written for Lawrence Fishburne. So I'm like, okay, so that's 2 contradicting stories.
Right. Okay. Maybe it was Marvin he wrote the part for Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I don't know. It's Samuel Jackson's best role by a country mile, in my opinion. I love Samuel Jackson. I love seeing him pop up, but this is one of my favorite characters in film history. He's just fucking cool, man.
Yeah, he's brilliant. But as you were saying, Lawrence Fishburne turned it down. And according to Tarantino, right now, I've heard him tell this story, but according to Tarantino, it was because Fishburne was advised by his team. It wasn't a starring role,
which is insane because it is very much the defining role of the film. I would say if you take any character out of this movie, if people were to name it, it'd be like, who's the number 1 character if you're at the top of the call sheet in your mind? I think it's Jules in Pulp Fiction. So swing and a miss there by old Lawrence Fishburne, who I also very much love.
Well, yeah, maybe he wouldn't have done it to The Matrix, though.
Maybe, but I mean, I love this guy. He should have won an Academy Award 3 years before this in Boys in the Hood. I thought he was phenomenal in the movie. And
yes, that's right.
I've just always loved the guy in anything he pops up in. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think he knows whatever movie he's in, he knows how to play to it. He pops up in the John Wick movies now, overacting his ass off. So he knows what kind of movie he's in. He can play serious, over the top, funny.
As we just said there, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm just playing devil's advocate to a certain extent. We just said there, this is an ensemble. So the story goes, his people looked at it and went, this is an ensemble. We want you starring and everybody
Like
else
above
below
the
you.
card, like above the title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why he wanted to do it, apparently. Apparently he told her I want, but they're telling me no, because it's now, and they were telling him that you're at the stage of your career where you should be starring and you should only take starring roles. So
Tough.
but listen, we wouldn't have got Samuel L. But
No.
we wouldn't have got him. So Samuel L. Jackson had the audition twice for the role before convincing Tarantino he was right for the part. Apparently, there was a misunderstanding as Jackson had assumed the original audition was merely a reading, and according to Lawrence Bender, blew them away in the second audition.
Yep, and you know who blew them away in their audition that they were going to go with if Samuel Jackson didn't come back for that second one and blow them away, right?
Yeah, I seen the name, but I wasn't familiar with it.
Yeah, it's the guy who plays the bartender, Paul.
Hey, my name's Paul. This shit's between y'all.
He blew them away. He was. That's
Oh,
why they.
is that who it was?
Yeah, they were going to actually give
All
him.
right.
That's why he got the role as the bartender, is because of they liked him so much. So they got to give him something, and they give him some lines. I love him actually when he pops up. Our
Yeah.
man, look at that! It's our man Vincent Vega from Amsterdam, and our boy Jules Winsfield from Inglewood. Get on him here!
Yeah.
What the fuck you wear?
No, he says, "Hey, I'm Paul, and this is among y'all."
Yeah.
The fuck do you ask me for then? Fucking
Asshole.
asshole. It's just brilliant the way you would react, wouldn't it? I love
Yeah.
that. Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, John, but I love when he says, "So, I hear you're taking the big man's wife out there tomorrow night." And you see him he looks at
Annoyed,
Jules.
like you fuckers are talking.
So, but Jules didn't know. Jules, he only told
No.
Jules. Jules didn't know until he told him. So he looks at him as if Jules told him.
Well, you know what?
but
It ties into an Uma Thurman line in the movie where Uma Thurman says, when they get together, they talk, don't they? And it's like, they all do. They just talk amongst each other about each other, like any job. Like, they just all happen to be like fucking gangsters.
Yeah, exactly. If you little scumps get around, get together. Exactly, mate. But we will get the all this. We will get the all of it. I don't understand what's the difference between a reading and an audition. I guess it's
like
the same thing.
I guess a reading. Well, you've ever seen a script reading? They're just kind of going around reading the lines, like it kind of lackadaisical about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets
monotone.
Exactly. So I guess he just thought he went in there and did that, and he wasn't fucking like acting, like doing the Jules character. Because he assumed he had the character, and then I guess Paul the bartender came in there and blew him away. I was like, maybe this is the guy which I can't see it just based on the guy how he played, and I'd never really seen that guy do anything else. So I'm like, I don't see how he could have been Jules, but hey, these guys are actors. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. He's not going to play the bartender like Jules, is he? You
No,
want a drink, motherfucker? I hear you're taking the big man's wife out tomorrow night, motherfucker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. He does
that.
That
is
well.
A tasty drink, but apparently Samuel L. Jackson was pissed off at the misunderstanding and wasn't going to go back, and he had to be talked into it. And when he did, apparently he had a burger with him. I don't know if it's true. These urban legends kind of, they come along after a wait, but apparently he had a burger with him when he done the audition, and they wrote it into the script.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, apparently he was pissed off when he done the second edition because he had to go back. And of course, they were like, "Yeah, that's brilliant," because that's the way they think Jules should be,
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah,
it came together. It all worked out in the end, right?
Yeah, it worked out in the end. So we'll move on to the next one. So Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace. Several actresses were considered for the role, including Robin Wright and Meg Tilly. Now you see, Tarantino is a big fan of Psycho 2.
Oh, see, I did not realize that, but I think you've told me that. But I forgot.
He thinks it's the best one. He thinks it's better than the original. He loves it. And Meg Tilly was in Psycho 2, which I'm saying about him working with people who he loves. Not a major actress. Wants her for this movie. But he wanted Uma Thurman after their first meeting.
Yeah, he loved Uma Thurman. He said many times that Uma Thurman is like his muse, and their relationship got really tainted on Kill Bill because he made her do a stunt that she felt uncomfortable with and crashed the car, and she got really hurt from it. But they eventually did make up, and her daughter, what's her name, Maya Hawke, ends up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I guess they mended those fences. Which, by the way, watching this movie again and then like seeing how young she is in this movie and seeing her daughter Maya Hawke. It's like a spitting image, voice, and everything of her.
You think so?
I don't see Ethan Hawke in her at all.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see him in her. I'm sorry. I honestly think I could see him in her more than Uma Thurman.
Really? I feel like even the voice cadence
Mhm.
is the exact same as Uma Thurman in this movie.
No, because like she's, I don't know. I think she just looks more like her dad.
Huh. Well, hey, listen, it
So
is
do I.
both their kid, but I don't know. I just see Uma.
Yeah, but people see different things. You listen. You hear it all the time, John. When people see your kid, they'll say, "Oh, it looks like you," or "It looks like her mother," or "Spitting image of her mother," or "I can see you in her." You know, it happens both ways. So
Yeah.
people see different things.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
different strokes for different folks, I guess. Yeah, because I'm like, I always leaving last night. I'm like, damn, it just sounds like fucking Maya Hawke and Stranger Things when she's talking.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, it could be just the voice too. I mean, she is a female, so it's not going to sound like Ethan Hawke.
That's true. I mean, it would be weird.
Remember the goatee?
Yeah, I always think of him with that fucking goatee.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So Bruce Willis as Butch Coolidge was written for Matt Damon, who turned it down as he wanted to play Vincent Vega. I must note as well, did I say Uma Thurman was playing Mia Wallace? Forgot to mention that. So Mickey Rourke, yeah, I just went Uma Thurman, but she's playing Mia Wallace. Okay. Bruce Willis is Butch Coolidge. Mickey Rourke also turned down the role. Again, I heard he's a big Mickey Rourke fan. He wanted him to play the role. Then he eventually went to work with his friend Robert Rodriguez on Sin City.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that at the time, I believe Mickey Rourke was a boxer, so that's how his face got all fucked up. So I guess like it made sense for him to write it for a boxer like that, and then they get Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis looks like a boxer too. Anyway, it kind of he has that look to him.
Oh yeah, apparently the character was based on a couple of earlier movies. I didn't write them down, John, or anything, but I looked at the characters that he was supposed to be based on, and he looks like them.
Oh really? Yeah, I mean it's
very odd. Yeah.
Perfect casting, in my opinion. Like it's one of my favorite Bruce Willis performances as well in this movie. Like how he pops up in here, and you always hear those stories about Bruce Willis kind of being a little bit like of an asshole, but he's such a good freaking actor, man.
Yeah, he's brilliant in this. And I say you mentioned about Bruce Willis. So Bruce Willis similarly wanted the part of Vincent.
Everyone wanted Vincent.
They maybe seen that as the best role in the movie, maybe they've seen it as, but Vincent or Jules. And he says, however, he eventually accepted the role of Butch, lowering his salary and risking his star status after Tarantino suggested he read the script again with that character in mind.
Yeah, would you say that in 1994 that's the biggest name in this movie is Bruce Willis? It's also 1 year before Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis team up again in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
That's right. So he did actually. Christopher Walken probably, but because Christopher Walken's role is so small, I would say Bruce Willis, because it's a bigger. I would say a bigger role. He was the bigger name, or not. He was the biggest name to pick out of it because everybody knew him from Die Hard.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's at Die Hard, and he's in other things at this point too. Like his career he's like one of the biggest names. Even like Planet Hollywood's opening up at this time with Stallone and Schwarzenegger. So I would think that he's like the biggest name in the film. Like, oh, Bruce Willis, like, for the common moviegoer in *94.
Yeah, Bruce, you're 100% right, Bruce Willis. But I mean, I was surprised to see Christopher Walken pop up when I was watching. I was like, oh, it's Christopher Walken. There's
he did the same thing that he does in this movie.
Max Strack.
Yeah. But he does the same thing in True Romance the year before. Like he pops up in one scene and that's it. Cuts a killer monologue and walks out.
I can imagine how painful this must be for you. But Clarence and that bitch-whore girlfriend of his brought this all on themselves.
And walks out, yeah. So, but definitely Bruce Willis. I mean, I'll be honest, in reflection, I think he's, apart from Christopher Walken, he's still the biggest star in it.
I mean, if you're gonna go star power all time, isn't Travolta still like the biggest out of all these guys? Maybe Bruce is. Do you think Bruce Willis is a bigger name than Travolta, like all time? Really? Grease is huge, man. Grease is people still discover Grease and talk about Danny Zuko, like and Saturday Night Fever. But then again, Die Hard, right?
Talking about the Die Hard saga,
The
Sixth Sense, The Last Boy Scout. Excuse me. What's that? Did he do 12 Monkeys?
12 Monkeys in '95 also.
Sin City. But I think Bruce Willis is the biggest star in the movie. Even on reflection, even since Samuel L. Jackson got pretty big.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson, big name. I don't know. I just always thought that Travolta was the biggest guy. You know what it is with Travolta? He was so popular in the 1990s, but it's because of this movie. Like he shows up after this, his career just went on a resurgence. You had movies like Broken Arrow, Michael, uh,
Face Off.
Face Off, and just all of these movies that he was just
Swordfish.
rattling, Swordfish, that he just popped up all the time, and Phenomenon. And I just thought that this guy's a huge actor. Whereas Bruce Willis kind of cools off, but you're absolutely right. The Die Hard movie, it can't be understated.
What was that one Willis done with the time travel and all? That was Looper.
Looper. That was in 2012. I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Bruce Willis. Yeah.
You know what? I think that if Bruce Willis hadn't have got sick, Bruce Willis can still drag an audience.
Definitely.
Still,
his name does
bring an audience. But I don't think Travolta can anymore. I honestly don't. I think Travolta had a resurgence in the 90s off the back of this. He had a load of flops too. Some of the movies you mentioned there were flops, I think. But when they got the 2000s, I don't think people really cared much for Travolta.
No, I can't name a movie since 2000 that I'm like, oh yeah, that's Travolta. Like, I don't know. I can't think of one.
Bruce Willis was a big star, as you just said it. He was up there with Stallone and
Schwarzenegger
in regards to like that action hero kind of star in the 90s.
Yes,
easy. Sure, Die Hard changed the trajectory of those type of action movies.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It probably is Bruce Willis. I'm just trying to. I just go through it in my head, but you're right. I really can't understate how popular Die Hard is.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, listen, Travolta's a big name as well, but I feel as if. I mean, like I say, I just love Grease. Saturday Night Fever was great. He was in Carrie, but but as you say, his career was on the downward spiral throughout the 80s. He got this, and I just felt as if it was a revival of his career for a few years, and I don't think he ever hit the heights of Pulp Fiction again.
No,
his biggest movie in the 90s, apart from Pulp Fiction, was Face Off. Face Off was a big hit. It was a phenomenal hit, and it's a great movie as well. I haven't seen it in years. But apart from that, I can't say that he's done anything. Whereas like Bruce Willis was Bruce Willis. He's Bruce Willis. He done this. He done Pulp Fiction. He done the Die Hard. People say Die Hard 3 is the best sequel. Then he done the Sixth Sense was another major movie of the 90s, massive movie when it came out.
Oh yeah, and then he did Unbreakable the next year with M. Night Shyamalan again, and that's a pretty big hit too.
Another big movie. Yes, that was a great movie as well. So we'll move on to the next that guy who I really like, Ving Rhames as Marcellus Wallace. After other actors turned the part down, Bender stated Ving Rhames gave one of the best auditions I've ever seen.
Love Ving Rhames. This guy all over the 1990s, mainly because of this movie, but he was in before this movie Dave with Kevin Kline. I don't know if you ever saw that. And then he pops up and he gets probably what he's most famous for is the Mission Impossible franchise. Other than Tom Cruise, he's the only character who appears in all the movies. So loved him for that. And then he's also in Baby Boy. Like, Ving Rhames, but for me, he'll always be Marcellus Wallace.
Oh, yeah. He's always Marcellus Wallace for me. Have you seen Bringing Out the Dead?
Yes, he's great in that as well.
With Nicolas Cage. That's a Scorsese film.
That is very much 1999. That's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. I caught that on TV really late one night. And I was waiting for something to happen the whole movie, and nothing happened.
It's not one of Scorsese's best movies. It's not, but I do like
watched it again, and I liked it. Once you realize what it is, right?
Yeah, it's very much like a forgotten 90s Scorsese movie, although it has a good 4K.
And our final member of the cast, which we're going to talk about before we go into the movie, is Tim Roth as Ringo, aka Pumpkin. He played Mr. Orange in Reservoir Dogs, and Tarantino wrote the part with him in mind.
Yeah, and he's great in this movie. I like that he's a returning player from Reservoir Dogs, using his regular accent.
Yes, using his British London accent. I believe he's from London, so he's using his normal accent. And I read a thing that apparently, what was it? Who did they want? It was the studio wanted somebody else.
Oh, Christian Slater, I think, right?
for this role here. So because he had written it for Roth, he thought, okay, for a while he was thinking of casting Roth as like Vincent and who was it? Another British
Gary
actor.
Oldman.
Gary Oldman, that's it, John. See how you bring your A game as Jules, and he was going to have them as two English hitmen.
Yep, which could work.
It could be a different. I think it would have a different kind of feeling to it, wouldn't it? But it would work, but it would feel a wee bit different.
It wouldn't feel very. They would have to go to Britain. I would think. I don't think you can do that in LA.
Think so?
Yeah. Which can work. I mean, Guy Ritchie kind of picked that up, right? And kind of made his own kind of like European, London kind of versions of like these Tarantino movies like Snatch, right?
Yeah. You know, I was speaking to my brother the other night. His son's a teenager, and he's seen Snatch, and he was like, I must really show him Pulp Fiction. And I were talking about Guy Ritchie, and I says, well, look, if he loves Snatch, you have to. I says, because Guy Ritchie to me was just like the British Tarantino. He was just taking what Tarantino done in the States and applying it to his native country. And as much as I like Snatch, I just feel like he's ripping Tarantino off.
He is. And there were so many movies that did this after this movie that were trying to rip him off. But I'll be honest, there's a lot of Guy Ritchie movies that I really do like, and he's taken a lot from Tarantino. So sometimes, you know, you make the formula and then other people are stealing from it. Doesn't mean that some of that stuff is bad. I really like a lot of Guy Ritchie movies.
Well, they say that if you're going to steal from someone, steal from the best.
Yeah, I think it worked.
So principal photography began on the 20th of September, 1983 in California. The Jack Rabbit Slim set was built in Culver City warehouse at a cost of $150,000, and it was joined to several other sets, including the film's production offices. The diner sequence was shot on location in Hawthorne at the Hawthorne Grill, and shooting wrapped on the 30th of November, 1993.
So a few months before it eventually was released in theaters. Well, it was on film festivals first.
Yeah. So there is no musical score in Pulp Fiction.
Nope, just a soundtrack.
Just the soundtrack of songs. And it was distributed by Miramax Films. You ready to get into the movie?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it. So, released on May 21st, 1994 in Cannes. And it was released in the United States on October 14th, 1994.
Yep. That's always kind of how those film festival things work.
Yeah. So it was probably getting a lot of buzz, and then release it in time for the awards season. And the running time is 154 minutes.
Quickest 2.5 hour movie ever, in my opinion.
Miramax Film logo comes up on the screen. As you were talking about logos, this is the first. And then we have the pulp definition. So one is a soft, moist, shapeless mass or matter. And two is a magazine or book containing lurid subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper.
Yep, which ties into the movie poster.
Yes, which I absolutely love, by the way.
I have it on my living room wall.
I have it sitting behind me here, but I have to put it up. I have to get it framed and put up. So, fade into a couple sitting at a dining table. Yolanda, a.k.a. Honey Bunny, and Ringo, a.k.a. Pumpkin. So, Yolanda's played by Amanda Plummer. And as we've just mentioned there, Ringo's played by Tim Roth. And they're discussing robberies, John, and how he's not doing it anymore. And it's too dangerous.
I'm through doing that shit.
You always say that, the same thing every time. I'm through, never again, too dangerous.
Yeah, and if they would have just stopped that day, you know, but I think they stop after today, if I'm being honest. I think this is their last one.
This could be their last one. So they're having this back and forth about he's saying it's far too dangerous, you know, can't be doing it anymore. And he makes the suggestion that robbing the diner and coffee shops could be the right thing to do.
Cuts down on the hero factor.
Cuts down on the hero factor. I love how he talks about, you know, somebody using a phone. You know, he phoned him and says he'd hurt his little girl if he didn't hand the money over. And she says, did they hurt the little girl? And he's like, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is he robbed a diner with a phone.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't even a little girl anyway. It doesn't matter.
That's not the point of the story.
So he says, a knucklehead walks into a bank with a telephone, not a pistol, not a shotgun, but a fucking phone. cleans the place out, and they don't lift a fucking finger. And she says, "Did they hurt the little girl?" And he says, "I don't know. There probably never was a little girl. The point of the story is that the isn't the little girl. The point of the story is they robbed the bank with a fucking telephone." So and she says to him, "You want to rob banks?" And he's like, "No." That's it. I want to rob banks. So that's brilliant. That whole dialogue, that's just essential Tarantino, isn't it? Just that back and forward. They're all about robbing and how dangerous it is. So he makes a suggestion about robbing the coffee shop and stealing the wallets from the customers. He says a lot of people go to restaurants, and she says a lot of wallets, and he says pretty smart, huh? Yeah. And she says pretty smart, but then she's like, "I'm ready. Let's go right here, right now." And he says to her, "Remember, same as before, you're crowd control. I'll handle the employees." She says, "Got it." And that's where she says, "I love you, pumpkin." And he says,
I love you,
honey bunny. I jumps on the table and says, "Everybody be cool. This is a robbery."
You fucking pricks, move! And I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you!
Yep, which
So-
they play again later in the movie with different dialogue.
Yeah. Well, that always reminds me of the soundtrack, because that's how the soundtrack opens. The soundtrack opens with those two, her saying, "I love you, pumpkin." Yeah, I love you, honey bunny. And then of course we go straight into the song Miserlou by Dick Dale and the Deltones, John.
And this is clever, where they actually play both two songs through the opening credits, and you hear like a changing station, because I guess the assumption is that Jules and Vincent are in the car listening to the radio, right?
Yeah, well, we have Miramax Films presents A Band Apart, and you have that Reservoir Dogs logo. So there's apparently A Band Apart was Tarantino's own production company that he formed after Reservoir Dogs, I think with Lawrence Bender, I think. And then you have the Jersey Films Productions. It says a film by Quentin Tarantino, and then Pulp Fiction scrolls up the screen in that yellow and red font with that music playing. And it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I just want to make a note that I think it was the Black Eyed Peas sampled this song in like the early 90s, and I absolutely fucking hated it because
Well,
they
Black
had like
Eyed
people
Peas.
talking over the song. Yeah, they were going, pump it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? We know it's Pulp Fiction. Just leave it be, let it alone. And you're right. Then there's like a song change. You can hear them like changing the radio station. So yeah, the assumption is that they're listening to the radio in the car. But again, it's just like Reservoir Dogs with Emmons listening to K Billy's super sounds of the 70s. And it's very smart that way to keep you engaged. And they changed it to Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang. And you just know that this is Jules's type of music.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he even says, "Let's keep it cool," the gang later in the movie. So I love that, which I always say to people.
Yeah, it's almost feels as if that the first song is it's like a Vincent Vega song more than anything, and then this is the change the radio stations. Jules sense, yeah, switch that shit over.
Yeah. Well, like once we get into them, it's like you can tell like they're like your stereotypical coworkers. You know, they got very different personalities, even though they do the same job. Different philosophies of life.
And of course, one's black and one's white as well, so you have that kind of contrast as well, don't you?
Exactly. Very different guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got something to say about that later on, as a matter of fact, when we get there. So we cut the two men driving in a car. One's white, one's black, wearing black suits with white shirts and black ties, reminiscent of the Reservoir Dogs. And this is Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield. So Vincent is telling Jules about his time away in Europe, specifically the Netherlands and Amsterdam.
Yeah. Because,
So I always
weed
found this
legal
dialogue.
there.
Weed is legal there. I always find all this dialogue very, very funny. As you say, he's talking about how weed is legal in Amsterdam, and but then he says to him, you dig it the most.
No, baby, you dig it the most.
The way he says that too, you dig it the most. That's fucking like always a little bit bothersome to me. Is with this is like with John Travolta is like he's kind of in and out of an accent a lot of time playing Vincent.
Yeah, that's right. He goes on to talk about being in Paris, eating burgers and a Royale with cheese, John.
Yeah, which is very famous from this movie. A Royale with cheese. Now, why do they call it that? Well, they wouldn't know what the fuck you were talking about if you ordered a quarter pounder there, because then it's Europe. They have the metric system over there.
And and he says, it's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Then he's like, "What do they call a Whopper?" I don't know. I didn't go into Burger King. It just kind of blows him off on that.
Yeah, I didn't win the Burger King. And I love how he says as well about they drown it in mayonnaise.
Yeah, he's like, I seen it, man. They drown them shit in that. Which,
So
by the way, I personally like to do that. I don't really like ketchup myself on stuff. I'd rather put mayonnaise on it.
I don't like anything in my burger. Don't like mayonnaise. Don't like ketchup. We just call ketchup red sauce.
Really?
Yeah. Then we have brown sauce as well. Don't like any of them. Mustard.
No.
Nope.
No, I gotta have something on my burger. It's usually it's mayo.
Yeah. No, I love lettuce, cheese, tomato, but no sauce. I'm saucy enough, John. And as he says, they drown it in that shit. And I'm like, how can you even taste what you're eating when you're drowning? And that's like people get Subway sandwiches and drown it in sauce. It's like, how can you even taste that?
Oh, you taste it. Trust me. I'm always putting sauce on my stuff. Hot sauce with maybe some mayo. It's got
Southwest sauce.
Mhm.
Southwest.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Yeah.
Don't like ketchup though. Not a tomato guy.
No. Listen, I like tomatoes and I like bolognese and stuff like that, but I don't like tomato sauce at all. So I don't like ketchup. I don't like it at all. So we cut to the now famous Tarantino boot or trunk point of view opening shot, which he used in Reservoir Dogs. He's doing it here again now, and we have it in our opening to our axis.
We should have shotguns with this kind of deal.
And Jules says, we should have shotguns for this kind of deal. And Vincent says, how many are up there? And Jules says, 3 or 4. And Vincent says, counting our guy? And Jules says, I'm not sure. And Vincent says to him, so there could be 5 guys up there? And Jules says, it's possible. And then Vincent says, we should have fucking shotguns. So as Vincent and Jules are walking along, they discuss Mia Wallace, the big man's wife. She used to be an actress, and she was in a pilot.
Yeah, and I just want to point out right here, Vincent is a fucking liar, man. He says, like, what's a pilot? And he's like, it's he explains what it is, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I don't watch TV. He's like, well, you are aware on this device called a television, they show shows, right? And he's like, yeah, like blows him off. But later in the movie, before he shoots Marvin in the face, he's talking about watching fucking Cops.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever see that show, Cops?
Yeah.
Right enough, John. I never made that connection, but you're right. Yeah, he says don't watch TV. He's being a dick, and he says, but you are aware that there is an invention, right? You watch television on. I love how he says, and they make pilots, and then they turn them into television shows. But she was in one of the ones that turned into nothing.
Yeah. So that's her biggest claim to fame.
Yeah, that's her biggest claim to fame. So they go into the apartment block, and as they get into the lift, they discuss Antoine Rockamora, a.k.a. Tony Rockahara.
Great name, by the way.
I love how he says,
Vincent explains about really fat guy. Well, I wouldn't call him fat. He says the N word because this is a Tarantino movie, so we're not going to be saying that ourselves. But he says, "What are you going to do?" He's Samoan, and which if you watch pro wrestling, all the Samoans are pretty fat.
They're big guys. Yeah, Vincent says, "Yeah, maybe fat, right?" And Jill says, "I wouldn't go so far as to call the brother fat. He got a weight problem." What's he gonna do? He's Samoan. And of course, he goes on to say that when they're walking down the corridor, he tells him that apparently Marcellus threw him out a four-story window in through a glass house because he gave his wife Mia a foot massage. And he said, I love how he says to him, since then he's developed a speech impediment. It's a damn shame. So they get to the left, and he says to him, but still, you play with matches, you get burned. And he's like, what do you mean? He says, you don't go give Marcellus's new bride a foot massage. And he says, what? And he's like, you don't do it. And he says,
you never go stick it in another man's. It's one thing to stick it in the holiest of holes, but it's not quite that, but it's still, it's the man's wife. You gotta expect some reaction.
Jules says it was a foot massage. A foot massage is nothing. I give my mother a foot massage. They disagree about the whole foot massage debate here, John.
Where do you
He
fall
thinks
on
that
that,
was an
by the way?
overreaction. Where do I fall on the foot? I don't think you should be giving anybody a foot massage.
I agree, and I think Jules hits him. I'm not Jules. Vincent hits Jules with the closing argument that wins the case for him, I believe, which is that would you give a man a foot massage? And he's like, "Fuck you." Yeah, because exactly that's the whole thing. I wouldn't give a man a foot massage. I wouldn't give my mother a foot massage either. That's also fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, he was like, I'm getting a bit. If it's not a big deal, I'm a little bit tired here myself. I could do with a foot massage. And he's like, fuck you. And he's just, you know what I mean? He's like, back off with it. So he's made his point. He's like, well, you think it's all right to give a woman a foot massage, but you won't give a man a foot massage. So if it's just a foot massage, then what's the problem? What's the issue here, right? The reason I wouldn't give a foot massage is because I wouldn't like to touch anybody else's feet. I don't care if it's a woman or a man. Right?
Well,
I ain't
this is
giving
like the
massages.
first movie where we
Simple.
see. Yeah, no, I agree. But this is, I think, the first movie where we see that fucking Quentin Tarantino has that foot fetish, because we see Mia Wallace's feet and we see the cab driver's feet, and it's just like,
Yes.
this guy fucking loves feet, so of course he'd be talking about a foot massage because he gets off on that.
Because Vincent, to your point, Urs, Vincent says, is it as bad as eating her out? No, but you're in the same fucking ballpark. And Jules says, stop right there. Eating a bitch out and giving a bitch a foot massage ain't even the same fucking ballpark. So, and
It ain't even the same fucking sport.
Yeah, that's right. He says, not the same thing, the same ballpark. So, yeah. So, but they go to the apartment door, and Jules says, ain't quite the time yet. 7:22. So,
yeah,
let's hold back for a few minutes. So they pick up this conversation to be again about the foot massage. Jules then kind of sees Vincent's point. He's like, maybe you got a point. Come on, let's get into character.
Let's get into character, which is great because they do have to get into character for this whole freaking thing. I also love, by the way, that it is 7:25 in the morning, and it feels like 7:25 in the morning with the way the sun's coming up while they're driving. My favorite part of the day. I just love that anyway. So I love to see like the sun rising and everything. And I think that they nailed that kind of like day glow kind of look.
Yeah. Why do you think they had to hold back when it was 7:22? Why did they have to wait to 7:25? Has Marvin been given the instruction? We'll be there at exactly 7:25.
Yeah, because he's waiting by the door at 7:25.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So at the apartment door, Vincent reveals he's taken Marcellus Wallace's wife, Mia, out the following night while he'll be out of town. And I love how he turns and he says to him, Jules says, why are you so interested in the big man's wife anyway? And he says, because he's asked me to take her out tomorrow night. And he's like, but take her out? He says, no, man. He's good. He'd take her out. Sure, a good time. So that's funny. So the door opens and Marvin lets them in, and inside there's two youngsters sitting.
You know who we are? We're associates of your business partner, Marcellus Wallace.
One's on a sofa, Roger, aka Flock of Seagulls, and at the dining table, the guy there's a man, a guy sitting there by the name of Brett, and he's eating a burger, a big Kahuna burger.
Big Kahuna burger. That's that Hawaiian burger joint. I hear they got some tasty burgers. I ain't never had one myself. How are they?
Yeah, that burger looks so good, and I love how he quizzes him on that. You know, he's like, "Do you mind if I take it back?" He lifts it, takes a big bite out of it, and takes his drink, and says, "Man, if I take some of this to wash this down." I love how he like sucks the drink down, John. Every piece of it, you can still just hear the ice rattling about at the bottom, and then he's like, hit the spot.
He's just intimidating him the whole time, basically making him feel uncomfortable, like making him feel like a bitch.
Eating his breakfast.
Yeah. Burgers for breakfast, the cornerstone of any breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, is there burger places open at that time in the morning?
Yeah. I mean, there's 24-hour places that will have that. Especially they're in Hollywood. They're in Hollywood, so definitely. I mean, we have them here, 24-hour like fast food places you can go to.
Fuck, we don't have anything like that here.
No, I mean, listen. Oh no, we have a lot of places like Burger King will change over to breakfast, but not every place. There's plenty of places. Taco Bell's open 24 hours, and I'm sure in Hollywood it's even more. But you go to New York City, 24-hour places are very common.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Because I always thought that I was like, where's open at that time in the morning? But it's just because the places they got don't open here at that time.
Yeah, well, you guys probably all have like certain cities, like if you go up to Boston in America, like everything shuts down at 11, but that's
Yeah,
not everywhere.
yeah. They would have both in the city centre. It's been so long since I've been in the city centre at night time, but they might open until maybe 12, half 12, maybe. You know, and maybe open the next morning. If it's like a Burger King, as you say, it might open to maybe at 9, maybe half 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock. I'm not even 100% sure. But yeah, there would be nothing open at half 7 in the morning. Like,
I worked overnights for many years, and we sometimes didn't go on break till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we'd go and get like on break we get like a beer and a burger like 4 in the morning. So yeah,
sounds
very
good.
common here.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah, until you have to go back to fucking work.
Oh yeah. No, I remember years ago when we started working, or that started working, place I was working, and we used to go out to like the pub at lunchtime and stuff on a Friday, and we'd have a pint and have something to eat, and then we'd done a challenge. So we said like every week we'll up the pints. So the next week we had 2, the next week we had 3. I think we got to 4 because we had to be back within an hour. So you're drinking 4 pints in an hour.
Chugging them
And I,
down, right?
I remember getting into work like half cut, and one of the managers saying you're half cut and laughing. You know what I mean? And then I was like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, if you manage
Next week it's gonna be 5 in an hour. We can't do it.
we found the line.
Yeah, so that was it. But back to 1 then after that, John. Flock of Seagulls tells Jules where the merch is. Vincent lifts the briefcase out from under the sink in the kitchen, and he puts the code in, and 666 come up, saying to the devil. He opens it up, the case glows.
We happy? Vincent! We happy?
Yeah, we happy.
What do you think's in there? This was always a speculation thing when I was a kid, and you know, when you really narrow it down, it's just a MacGuffin. It's nothing. You know, you're not really supposed to think about what's in there, but it's always cool to speculate. Did you ever have any speculations on that?
Well, you know, because this movie's been with me so long, you know, since like the 90s when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, the speculation was it was Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Yep, because of the band-aid on the back of his head.
So I honestly don't know. You gotta have an opinion. I don't have an opinion on it. I because I know that Tarantino has never said what it is. I think he nearly said that he doesn't even know himself. It was just as you say, a MacGuffin to let people speculate. So I really don't know what it is. I mean, I seen a thing recently where you're talking about Tarantino stealing from other movies. Like somebody imagined, actually, I think it was when I was doing some more research, like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, when they open the ark at the end and it glows in their faces.
Well,
so
I'm thinking of over the last like few years, what I've always thought about it because Tim Roth recognizes. Is that what I think it is? I always thought maybe the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, yeah, is that what I think it is and stuff like that. So it's either gold. I mean, if you want to bring it down to earth, it's glowing, it's gold, big gold bar. I honestly don't know. I haven't thought about it too hard because I don't think there's a definitive answer. Because I think Tarantino's went, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really like it's not really supposed to be a big deal. Like it's literally just there for speculation, and like no one's gonna give you an answer. And you know what? You're not supposed to really think too much into it. I just love that the sound cue that comes up. It's when it's glowing, you can hear it a little bit, and I like that.
And anybody who looks at it says mesmerized bad when they look at it. So, yeah. So I honestly don't know. So what do you think then? Are you just kind of?
Well, yeah, I thought 2 things over my lifetime. I thought it was Marcellus Wallace's soul, and then I thought it was the Holy Grail, just as kind of like having a little fun, like with Indiana Jones. But other than that, you know, like I said, it's definitely something that means a lot to their business partner, Marcellus Wallace, and they shouldn't have made him look like a bitch. Yeah. So that just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole thing is that the only thing I would say about Raiders and Indiana Jones, there is an explanation for the ark. It's the power of God.
Yeah.
So
and it opens up with 666.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's the power of God. But in Pulp Fiction, I'm not saying it's the same as Raiders of the Lost. The difference is Raiders of the Lost Ark has an explanation.
Yeah.
This doesn't. And their kind of suggestion is that because it's 666, it could be something evil, right? Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, like, you know, I don't know. I mean, if say that the devil collects souls, right? You know, when you die, your soul goes to heaven, but if you're bad, where does it go, right?
Goes to hell.
Yeah. I mean, you could look at it that way. So anyway, so Brett tries to wriggle out of the situation, and Jules shoots him, shoots Roger.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Yeah, one thing I want to comment on, another thing about him lording over Brett here. You know, Brett, before when they were talking about the burger, and he asked him about the Royale with cheese. He's like, and he knew it was the metric system. Did you notice that when he says, "Look at the brains on bread," he calls him by the wrong name?
Check out the big brain on bread.
And I think he does that on purpose because he's like, just like basically how unimportant he is to him.
Oh, I don't say Brett. Look at the big.
The script, it says Brett in the
bread.
script, but he says Brad.
Right. Okay.
So
okay.
I always thought that was funny because I work with a guy named Brad, and I always say that to him. Look at the brains on Brad.
This is where Jules starts to interrogate Brett.
Oh, you were done. Well, allow me to retort.
That's it. That's what he says.
What does Marcellus Wallace look like? What?
That's exactly what he says. And he's like, what? What? No, ain't no country I ever heard of. They speak English and what? Say what again, motherfucker? I dare you. I double dare you. Say what again? What does Marcellus Wallace look like? He's black. Go on. He's bald. Does he look like a bitch? What?
Shoots him in the leg.
So he shoots him in the shoulder. Shoots him in the shoulder. And this is where he says, You read the Bible, Brett? Oh, there's this paragraph I've got memorized. Ezekiel 25:17.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
So once Jules does his lingo, Jules and Vincent shoot Brett dead. But I like when he's actually starting his speech, you can see Travolta in the background kind of positioning himself, taking the gun out, and cocking it, so he knows when this speech is said, this is when they're going to execute this man.
Which shows that they've worked together before. So like they know exactly, like he said at the beginning when they got there, let's get in the character. So they have this whole plan of like what they're going to do. Like there was never a chance that these guys were going to talk their way out of this situation. We're sent there, recover the stuff, get Marvin out of there, kill the other guys. Although he should have known about the guy in the bathroom, but they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't know about the guy in the bathroom, which we'll find out later on as we go on, that Marvin should have told them. So fade out. And then we have, this comes up on the screen here, Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. And we hear the song Let's Stay Together by Al Green. And we fade in. Absolutely love this song, John. And we fade in Bruce Willis sitting in a club looking at us. And I love this shot of him just sitting, right, with the camera just on him. And he doesn't have to say anything. He's just sitting there. He's just listening. And the camera's on him. And then we hear this voice preaching at him, narrating, and we don't even know who it is yet. So this is Butch Coolidge, an aging boxer at the end of his career. And we learn he's taking a bribe to take a dive in the 5th round. And they see this man who's speaking to him from behind. It's a big black man. It's Marcellus Wallace. And you can see the plaster that you just mentioned on his neck. I was going to ask you, what did you think this was? But there is a theory that his soul escaped from the back of his neck. And that's why he's wearing the plaster. That's why he wants the briefcase back. So there.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense if you think of it that way. But from what I understand, the truth is that Ving Rhames just cut himself shaving. And Quentin Tarantino just like the look of the band-aid on the back of his head, and it's like, we'll shoot it from behind anyway, and then it just kind of just can, people can speculate or just talk about, hey, that happens, right? I don't know if this has happened to you, David, as a bald man. Have you ever cut your head shaving and had to put a band-aid on your head?
I literally shaved my head earlier before I come on the show here. I use a shaver that the barbers use. I bring it down
buzzer,
to a knot, but I don't. What we would say would be bick your head. So those cheap razors, bick razors, people would use them to go down to the skin. I don't use them. A knot doesn't bring you down to the skin. But however, I have cut myself a few times even with that type of razor, because sometimes I would catch my ear and I would start, when I know to go like that, I would hit my ear and I would cut my ear. I would nip it, the wee nip, and it would start bleeding. I've done it a few times.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a wee bit of a shock, John, when it feels like somebody's just stuck a pin in you very quickly. It's like it's a wee nip.
Ew, well.
So that's the only time I've caught it. Or when you're doing the back, the base of your skull, and you're running it up, and it slips and it hit the base of you. I've cut the back of my head here, like with it, just being careless. But I've never done it down in my neck, because I assume he's cleanly shaven down to the scalp there. So he's been using like a shaving razor, and that's what he's done there.
Yeah, exactly what you said. He bicked it. Yeah, because we have those razors here, bick razors that would shape. So that's apparently exactly what he did. And Tarantino being Tarantino, kind of rolling with it, exactly kind of like how he did with Jules's wig. Jules was originally supposed to be wearing a big giant afro, but his assistant got the wrong wig and got the fucking jerry curl. And Samuel Jackson actually was the one who convinced Tarantino, like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it, because of NWA at the time bringing back the jerry curl. Like, no, this will work. And it works. It does work. And it's weird. You could tell that was kind of a last minute decision anyway, because if you look at like production pictures of the cast, Jules has just like Samuel Jackson's regular hair.
Ah, right. Okay. And the thing is that I couldn't imagine Jules any other way.
No, and it's crazy. It only works and they have a lot of close-ups, and like the way his hair is with like his beard and everything. It's so unique. It's very much a character. He falls into Jules.
Yeah, because I think, as you say, he was bald from a very young age, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's always
balding.
Yeah, exactly. He's always kind of played around, had different wigs, or he's bald in movies, which always kind of works.
Yeah, he doesn't have that cigarette though.
No, he doesn't have the cigarette hanging out of his mouth like in fucking Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, put us back online. Marcellus Wallace can't get his back online. But yes, this scene here, John, of course, as I said, he is braving Butch to take a fall, and I like when he's saying about that's pride fucking with you. A few weeks from now, you'll be sitting in the Caribbean saying Marcellus Wallace was right.
And a few months from now, when you're kicking it in the Caribbean, you're gonna say to yourself, Marcellus Wallace was right. But you could just tell he's having a hard time with this, like doing it. But as we know, he has a plan of like what he's actually gonna do with Marcellus Wallace's money.
That's right. And we cut to one of your faves, John. The barman, Paul, opening the back door and welcoming in Jules and Vincent. And they're dressed in shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops.
Oh, Vincent Vega, our man in Amsterdam. Jules Whitfield, our man in Inglewood. Get your asses on in here. God damn, what's up with them clothes?
You don't even want to know.
He says like, until the end, like he says the N-word. What are you N-words wearing? And he's like, man, you don't even want to know.
And as you pointed out, he's like, my man in Inglewood and my man in Pasadena. Amsterdam.
Yeah, he's like, Vincent Vega from our man Vincent Vega from Amsterdam, and our man Jules Winfield from Inglewood. Get on in here. And he's like, what are you guys wearing?
Imagine like you're so used to seeing them maybe in that hitman outfit or dress gangsters, and then you open the door and they're standing like that, like at 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's it's so funny. He calls those clothes kind of like the clothes I wear. So like, what the fuck's that say about me? T-shirt and shorts like that.
Is that where you got that inspiration from, John?
I don't know. I just always have just dressed like a slob, so that's kind of like what these clothes are. Just like a freaking lackadaisy, lazy white man kind of look. Because it looks better on Travolta than it does on freaking Jules.
Well, the thing about Travolta is because he gets stroked with a hose later on. His hair's all slicked back and all. He's like a surfer. He looks like all he needs is a surfboard.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Jules, it just doesn't fit but I mean, they're regular hitman, just the
Yeah.
cheap black suits. I wanted to wear those in my wedding. I said that about Reservoir Dogs because they're similar things. I always wanted to wear those kinds of suits. They look cool as shit.
Yeah. But the thing is that in the context of this movie so far, when you're watching this movie, you've went for them then to looking cool as fuck, right? And just killing someone and having this great witty dialogue. And you're being entertained. You're going, fuck, this is really good. And the next scene when you see them, they're walking in dressed like a bunch of hippies, a bunch of surfers. And you're kind of going, what the fuck are they dressed like that for?
Yeah, threw me
You
off.
know,
That, the first time
And you're thinking this, and you're thinking the same thing as Paul, and all Jules can say, don't even ask.
Yeah,
So
and
you're
we're
like-
wondering what happened too as the viewer. Like, what the fuck happened in between like the last scene and this? Like, this is where you're getting used to like the whole way he's telling the story.
Yeah. So at the bar, Paul quizzes Vincent about taking me out, as I touched on earlier on. I'm just Paul, and this is between you all. And pisses Vincent off.
What'd you fucking ask me about it for? Asshole.
And Butch comes to the bar. He asks for red apples, which is cigarettes, which is made up cigarettes, which Tarantino invented for his movies.
Yeah, a couple of brands. That and Big Kahuna Burger, completely fake, made up for the movies. That do carry over into
Yep.
other Tarantino movies, part of his connected universe.
Red apples were even in The Hateful Eight.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's carried over many times. They're
Yeah.
actually they're in the movie poster too. That's what Mia's smoking.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Is that what it was? Did you not hear the story about, but was there not a story about they printed the poster and they didn't have the red apple cigarettes? They had an actual brand, and then they got pulled up on it because they didn't ask to put the brand in, and they had to recall the posters. But if you have one of the posters with that brand, it's worth a fortune.
I didn't, but that's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wish I had that.
There you go. Yeah, I must double check mine, but I doubt it. I think mine's just a reprint. But a saying of the times, John, $1.40 for a packet of red apples.
Crazy, absolutely insane. I mean, that's what ages this movie the most is that, and then when Vincent starts complaining about a fucking $5 milkshake, no $5 milkshake exists anymore.
No, you're not going to get that for $5. Definitely not. So Butch and Vincent have words.
You looking at something, friend? You ain't my friend, Palooka. What's that? I think you heard me just fine, Punchy.
That's fine, Punchy. He calls him Palooka, which is a stereotypical Italian kind of a slang slur word at him.
Well, he obviously doesn't like Butch.
From what reason do you think, by the way? I always wondered this. Like, is there something like about him like being a boxer? Because I don't know if he's ever worked for Marcellus before. Because I have a theory about a scene that's coming up in a second about these two, but clearly they have a problem with each other, and I just don't know why. That's never elaborated on.
I've always just got the feeling that Butch doesn't know who Vincent is, and for whatever reason, Vincent's just taking a disliking to him. Sometimes people just take a disliking to you for no reason. Maybe it's a macho thing. Maybe it's because he is a fighter. I don't know. I get because he's the way he says, if you want something, friend, he doesn't know who Vincent is.
Yeah,
so I think I don't know. Vincent, for some reason, just takes a disliking to him.
Yeah, but then I also don't think Butch likes him either, because in a second I'll explain why.
Well, I've jotted down here. They have words. Then Marcellus calls Vincent over. Vincent Vega in the house. And I love that shot of the camera spinning around when as Bruce Willis turns around and you see Bruce Willis look. And made a note here. This is what I've always thought. Is this altercation with Vincent at the bar, which makes Butch renege on the deal, which makes him double cross Marcellus?
I feel like he was going to do that anyway. Because I feel like he takes that money and gives it to his buddy Scotty in Tennessee to go make the bets on himself so that they can make all that extra money.
Yeah. I always got the feeling that he was going to take the day for the money. But when this happened at the bar, that's when he decided to flip and give the money to Scotty to put the bets on.
You know what? That's a good theory.
Because the fight's not for another few days.
No, if you were to actually put this movie in chronological order, that's where the movie would end, is because everything's a few days later with that.
It's a few days later. it's because of the way he looks, as if, and something
Like these guys
sticks
are
in his
all pieces
head.
of shit in this place.
Yeah, he's like, look at the respect that he's shown that scumbag who disrespected me at the bar. He's paying me to take a dive. He's paying me to. I think he'd something flipped in his head, and he went, "Fuck these guys. I'm gonna sort them out."
See, I always thought that like what makes him have the change in consciousness is like the gold watch story about like my family. I come from a long line of fucking heroes, and here I am now taking a dive for the mob and being one of these pieces of shit. You know, like my father, my great grandfather, my grandfather are all war heroes. I'm not a war hero, but like now I become just somebody who takes a dive for the bar. Like, what kind of man have I become? But then I think about it, he had that money in place to give to Scotty because he could go from the gold watch story to right before the fight, so it doesn't add up.
The whole watch thing again, that's another MacGuffin, John. That's just to get him back to the apartment.
Yeah, it does,
it.
But that watch means so much to him because of how much it meant to his family's lineage of passing that watch down generation to generation.
Yeah, but you've got to show how much that watch means to him to get him to the apartment.
Oh yeah, or else why the fuck would you?
Because it just can't be a watch that, it's a watch. Am I going to risk my life for a watch? Well, this is why he's going to risk his life for a watch, because it means so much to him. But I understand what you're saying. It's an interesting theory about why he would turn on them. But why have an altercation at the bar with Vincent? Okay,
Yeah.
it sets up when he kills him later. There's a bit of satisfaction there. But why have an altercation at the bar with Vincent and then have that camera spin and have him looking at them as if it shows you them hugging and all, and he's disgusted looking? That to me is the point where he said, "I'm gonna double cross you."
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right.
That's how I feel. I'm sorry, and I can't change my thinking on that. That's the way I read that.
Well, like I said, the way I read it is definitely wrong because the math doesn't math on it. So, you know, I like your theory a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, next time you watch it, think about that.
Yeah, well, and you're also right about the beautiful shot. They do a similar wraparound shot on him in the phone booth talking to Scotty's, which I like, by the way, as well.
We fade out, and then we hear the song "Busting Surfboards" by the Tornadoes, and we fade in, and there's Rosanna Arquette as Jodie, and Bruna Gallagher as Trudy, a fellow native, John. She's from Derry.
Oh, really?
In the north of Ireland. Yep, she's from Derry, on the
awesome.
west coast here. Well, beside
Trudy
Donegal,
just
in the west,
hanging out the whole time in this house.
Yeah, so she's just hanging out there, and they're discussing piercings.
Yeah, I got one in my tongue, my clit. You know, excuse me. Why would you get one on your tongue? It's for fellatio.
It's a sex thing.
It's a sex thing.
Do you like piercings, John?
I had my left ear pierced. It's still kind of pierced. It's still scar tissue there from when it's pierced. My left ear was pierced for a very long time.
Yeah,
I don't
same
know if you
here.
do.
Mine was I got mine done when I got my left ear done when I was 13.
I think I was like 12 or 13. Ironic.
Yeah, I think the legal age was like 13 here or something. No, maybe there's not a legal age because you can get babies get their ears pierced. I think my mum had said I could get it done when I was 13, and I did it when I was 13. I went down and got it done, and then wore a stud for a while and then took it out. That was it.
Yeah, I wore a stud and a hoop for a while because of like a fellow bald man like you, but probably the coolest bald guy ever, other than you, Stone Cold Steve Austin, had his left ear pierced and wore a loop.
Yeah, I'm a close second there. I'm a close second. I did have a hoop as well, actually. Right? Okay, I appreciate that. That's very flattering. But yeah, I had the hoop as well. It didn't last too long, but as you say, I've still got the hole in the ear, like, so I don't know if I could put anything through it. Probably not. It's probably healed over my eye on the inside. But I remember for a while I toyed with the idea of getting the eyebrow done. People get their eyebrows done. And then I was like, I didn't like the idea of that, because I heard this story that if somebody punches you, it could go into your eye, and you know the chances was that I could easily get punched at some stage. So I thought, I'm not going to take that risk.
Yeah, no, it's not worth the risk of doing that.
Yeah, but tongues, noses, round the corners of the ears and all this, I'm not into them at all.
No, me neither. A little too much.
Yeah, I'm not in them. So as you mentioned there about Vincent was the one that asked the question about the tongue. We sees there, and then Eric Stoltz comes out. he's playing Lance, and he invites him into his office, a bedroom, and Lance is selling drugs to
Vincenzo.
Vincent. Yeah, step into my office, and here he is standing in a fucking robe.
Just dressed like a fucking
So
bum and selling heroin.
Selling heroin out of his bedroom. Yeah, so I love all this. So he goes in and he's explaining to him the type of drugs. I love how he says to him, heroin's coming back in a big way.
Heroin is coming back in a big fucking way.
Long time ago, my old job, a guy used to say that to me. We used to say that to each other all the time. This guy Joe used to be like, "Heroin's coming back in a big way."
Yeah,
cocaine's as dead as dead.
Yeah, there's that. And eventually he settles on the madman. He says, so he's gonna buy the madman, and he puts this wad of cash out. That's so much fucking money, and he talks to him about somebody keying his motorbike.
His
Who
Malibu.
was it keyed his motorbike?
No, his Malibu. His Malibu.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was his motorbike. His Malibu.
Which is the red car that he drives, which is Tarantino's. Yeah, so that's what I was going to talk to you about. That's Butch 110% who keyed his car.
Yes, that's right. I had heard that somewhere, and I couldn't remember until I was speaking to you there. It's because it happened after he mouthed at him at the thing. Yeah, he keyed it on the way out. So Vincent pays Lance, and he asks him, "Can he shoot up there?" And he says, "Of course he can." So basically, Vincent is a junkie.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, this whole scene now of like when he starts to shoot up, I never want to do heroin in my life or do drugs like that, like crazy. But this scene makes it fucking look cool as shit. The way that they shoot it, the way he's driving along, like all relaxed, and the song playing, and it's just fucking awesomely shot.
John, you know what? I've described you as my brother from another mother, because I've written down here, I don't want to glorify and don't condone taking drugs, especially heroin. But this scene of him driving stoned is cool.
It looks cool, right? All right, good. See, yeah, we were just
basically what you said. Yeah, and the song starts as well. Bullwinkle Part 2 by the Centurions. And I like at the end, towards the end of the scene, how he just gives this smile.
Like, and then he's just right. He's in a perfect state of mind, like, but it's from the heroin. And I also like how Travolta's acting. His eyes look all like fucking like he's stoned as shit. And then right as he's pulling up to like Marcellus's Wallace apartment where Mia is, he's walking slow.
Yeah.
You could tell he's high, and it's good acting.
Yeah, it's great. As you say, fade in. He's approaching Marcellus Wallace's house, and to pick up Mia, and there's a note on the door. Hi, Vincent. I'm getting dressed. The door's open. Come inside and make yourself a drink. So this is where we hear the song "Son of a Preacher Man" by Dusty Springfield. Another great tune as well. And inside, Mia instructs Vincent to go to the intercom, and we have this classic meme.
Vincent.
Like John Travolta.
I'm on the intercom.
With his coat.
Yeah.
He goes over the intercom. Hello, press the buzzer. But I always remember people saying, how could he hear what she's saying?
Because she's on a microphone that's going through the speakers.
Sorry. Could he hear? How could she hear what he's saying or something?
I assume that the cameras have mics. Don't forget, this is Marcel. This is Marcellus Wallace's apartment. The motherfucker's rich.
That is very, very true, John. So this brief scene is weird. Did we need it?
No, you don't need it, but it you get the song playing. We see him make a drink. I love the shot of when he makes the drink and it's an above camera shot and he's just standing there drinking it, like drinking his drink. Just some things are just cool.
Yeah. So he pours himself a drink. Mia's snorts some coke up where she is in like a control room. It's like the control room from Jaws 3D. And Vincent looks at a painting on the wall. Is that Mia Wallace in the painting?
I think so. He's like admiring the painting.
I think it is, yeah.
Marcellus loves his wife, as we know.
Yeah, he does. He really does. And that's one thing that I love about the characters in this thing. You can feel that they really love each other for some reason. You can imagine them being together.
Yeah, you can definitely, and we do see them together at one point. When they, later in the movie after Butch rips them off, and they come in there, and we see the bartender in there as well. So you can tell that they are a good couple.
Yeah, and this is where we see feet. Now, apparently,
Mhm.
she came in with a camcorder. This scene's longer, and she comes in with a
I've seen.
camcorder, and she films them and stuff. Yeah, and that's what's going on here. But this is to me like just an introduction to Mia Wallace, rather than just But I kind of watched it the other night, and I kind of thought, what's really the point of this scene? It's her introduction, but because they've caught that whole camcorder thing at her filming them and stuff like that, she wanted to be on television and all this. It kind of just cuts very abruptly. It just comes across as weird.
Yep, she just kind of comes downstairs and like, let's go. Okay.
Yep, let's go. And we cut to Vincent and Mia pulling up to Jack Rabbit Slim's restaurant. He doesn't want to go there. She says, "I should love this. You're an Elvis guy. Don't be a square," and draws a rectangle.
Yeah, never got that. Makes a perfect rectangle.
Yeah, but it's not a square.
Not fair.
So it's not a square. He wants to go for a steak, but she says, you'll take it in here. So inside, I think that's Ed Sullivan impersonation, isn't it?
I think so. I can't pull everybody who's in there. Luckily, Vincent can pull everybody. He does. It's like that's not Marilyn Monroe. Like he can pull everybody. Which, by the way, as they're walking in, a total great oneer. By the way, just one shot walking through the restaurant as everybody's moving around as they're on their way to their table. Love it.
Well, in a lot of ways, this is like the biggest set piece of the whole movie because they built this for the movie. This was like a big deal.
Yeah, they wanted to show this place off if they spent all that money.
Yeah. And well, Ed Sullivan, I thought it was Richard Nixon at first.
Nose isn't big enough.
But apparently no, but apparently it's I looked it up and I think it's Ed Sullivan. So he directs Mia and Vincent to their car. And as you say, we see Zorro. Ricky Nelson is on stage. He's sitting waiting in school. And Vincent passes Marlon Monroe, Buddy Holly, played by Steve Buscemi, James Dean, and then Mia calls Vincent to the car. And Buddy Holly comes over and he takes their orders. What about you, Peggy Sue?
Yep. And did you did you understand why the shakes were called Marvin and Lewis and Amos and Andy?
No.
Well, Marvin and Lewis are two white comedian duo, and Amos and Andy are a black comedian duo, and they would be chocolate and vanilla. So she orders Marvin and Lewis. She gets a vanilla shake.
Right. Okay. I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, well, the song changes and "Lonesome Town" by Ricky Nelson comes on, and they make some small talk about Amsterdam. Believe you're in Amsterdam. Yeah. What did you do? And she says, "I go once a year." Oh, really? I didn't know that. She says, "Why would you?"
Yeah.
Like, that's really cheeky. He's like, that's just conversation. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." She was like, "Well, why would you?"
Yeah, exactly. Just regular old fashioned small talk, and he's not really opening up much until he's got something to say.
Well, he mentions about her pilot, and she tells him, "Yeah, it's called Fox Force 5."
And did you get the reference of that? Because I know you're not a big fan of it. So Fox Force 5 would become Kill Bill. They're just the Deadly Viper assassination squad.
Well, do you know the book? I looked this up because I wanted to know what book he was reading. The book he's reading. We'll get to the name of it, but apparently that's a 1960s British comic strip novel, and it was about a female secret agent.
Huh. Yeah. Okay, so it all kind of ties in.
Going on adventures.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always just thought it was cool because the character she's talking about that she played, who was deadly with a sword, is literally just her character in Kill Bill.
In Kill Bill. So you were saying to me earlier on that Tarantino says this is real world, and some of the movies he made later is the type of movies that they would be watching in the theater. So you think maybe that's supposed to be Mia Wallace?
It's possible that could be Mia Wallace playing because it looks like her, right? She got her big break, finally getting to go back and play that character all over again. The deadliest woman with a sword. And, the Deadly Viper assassination squad sounds just like the characters in Kill Bill and the in what's it called? When this one over there, the Fox Force 5.
Yeah, the Fox Force 5. Yeah. So she explains all that to him, and then the drinks arrive, and he asks to try her drink or shake, and I love how she says you could use my straw, and I don't have cooties, and he's like, yeah, but I might.
Yeah, which is based on how he is. That's possible.
Yeah. Could be HIV or anything. When he's shooting drugs in his arm. So another song comes on, John. Rumble by Link Ray and his Rayman. It's the song playing there in the background. And there's this uncomfortable silence. Mia goes to the bathroom
To powder her
So-
nose.
I said, God damn. God damn.
while she's away. I love seeing this Marilyn Monroe reenactment of her dress blowing up.
Mm-hmm. And I also just love Uma Thurman in the bathroom saying one of my favorite, like when she snorts the cuss. I said, God damn. God damn.
God damn. Yep. So she's in the bathroom, literally powdering her nose.
Mhm.
And she arrives back and their food is arrived. I'm just wondering, like, I didn't think cocaine give you an appetite.
Yeah, I don't know much about cocaine. Never did it in my life, so I don't really know about. It seems to be like she just loves it because she did coke before she left, and then she just coke in the bathroom. Which, by the
Yeah.
way, all these other girls in the bathroom don't seem to give a shit.
No, they're just standing around her, like crowding around her. And so it just shows you the type of, the drug use is kind of like second to none. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, he's doing heroin, she's doing coke, but the place Jackrabbit Slim's doesn't. I guess it's an adult restaurant, but it looked like also like a family could go there if they wanted to.
mm-hmm,
But I don't know.
that's true. And I wouldn't imagine it'd be too late at night either.
No, I'm imagining. Well, they say it's 1:30 in the morning when she overdoses, and they get to freaking what's her name? Back to Lance's house.
Lances.
Yeah, she's like, it's goddamn 1:30 in the morning. So
That's when, as you said there, John, Vincent points out maybe Van Doren, and he says, I don't see Jane Mansfield. She must have the night off. Who was decapitated, wasn't she?
is that how she died?
I think it was her. Yeah, she in a car crash, cut her head off. I think it was her.
Get you every time.
Yeah, I think so. I think she was British. But anyway, so Vincent asks Mia about Tony Rakahara because you say she said, I'll think of something, and he says I thought of something, and she gets all offended by this. As I said earlier, when you wee scamps get together, she gets offended. She's like, "You think Marcellus threw Tony Rakahara out a 4-story window over a foot massage?" And he's like, "It's just what I heard.
Just what I heard.
I
He's like,
heard.
just what I heard. That's it. Yeah.
what I
And
heard.
then he's
He can't even look her in the eye. He's like, it's just what I heard. He can't even look at her in the eye. And she says, "Oh, that's ludicrous. The only thing that he touched was my hand at my wedding." So
when he shook my hand.
he
at my
almost, he almost seems disappointed.
Yeah, he thought like,
that.
it's not. But that's honestly what happens. Like it's like the telephone game. It's true. Like things escalate, and then he's like, she even says like the only people who know what happened between Marcellus and Tony are Marcellus and Tony, and it's like, that's believable. But is she telling the truth?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. She could be lying, yeah, to protect
Mhm.
obviously Marcellus. But I mean, it's a fanciful story, isn't it? But you don't cross Marcellus because this is what he'll do.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets bent out of hand from there, right? Like, who knows? We don't know exactly for sure. Like, it could have got lost. It might have been something completely different. Maybe Tony fucking stole money from him. We don't know. People have stolen money before, like Butch.
Big Butch, yeah, exactly. So Jack Rabbit Slim's twist contest, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The Jack Rabbit Slim's twist contest. So right here, so she volunteers them to go up on stage, and she kind of threatens Vincent into taking her up on stage. Marcellus told you to take me out and show me a good time for entering the contest. So they get up on the stage, and I love how he says, "What's your names?" And she speaks for both of them. She's like, "Mia Wallace and your fella here, Vincent Vega." Yeah, and the song "You Never Can Tell" comes on by Chuck Berry, and they start to jave.
And now the young monsieur and madame have rung the chapel bell.
Well, you got Danny Zuko up there on stage, so he can dance his ass off.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how he does the bat to see.
I do love
he does
yeah.
the bat dance.
Yeah, and then I love that. What's it called? I love Mia's too. What she does with her hands, like the way she does her hands. It's like, honestly, fantastic. They earned that trophy.
Oh, they do, and that has to be one of the funniest scenes that I've ever seen in the Batman television. series.
Oh my god! That's speaking of memes. That's been meme like crazy too. Is the dancing?
Well, Batman and Robin have to go to this club. I can't remember why. They're trying to scope out some villain. I can't remember who it is. And they walk in their costumes, and everybody's like, oh, "Look, it's Batman and Robin!" And the waiter comes up and says, "Batman, your usual table?" And he says, "No, I'll just stand at the bar, and I want to stay inconspicuous."
Dressed like that.
But everybody's like, oh, "It's Batman." And then he says, "Your usual table, Batman?" Nope, not tonight. We're on official business. Oh, it's hilarious. And that's where somebody says, "Do you want to dance, Batman?" And he gets up and he dances and he does the bat dance. It's called the Bat 2C, and he does the Bat 2C. It's the bat dance, you know. So that's what Travolta's put into his dance here. It's brilliant. Apparently they amalgamate a load of different dances, you know.
Oh yeah,
But,
no, because they're not even doing the same one, but they're just kind of blending well together.
Yeah. So fade into Mia and Vincent arriving back to Mia's house with the Jack Rabbit Slims Twist Contest trophy. And Vincent goes to the bathroom. I gotta take a piss. It's a wee bit too much information.
Yeah, but could you go right ahead? And then she puts on girl, you'll be a woman soon.
Correct, John. By Urge Overkill, written by Neil Diamond.
Well, yeah, it was a great fucking song. Which, by the way, he uses Neil Diamond in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too, so you can tell he's a big Neil Diamond fan.
Neil Diamond fan. Maybe my favorite. Maybe my favorite song on the album.
Oh, really? I like "Son of a Preacher Man." That's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah. I like that one too. Dusty Springfield. But no, I think this one might be my favorite. So Mia dances and sings while Vincent is in the bathroom, talking himself into going home.
You're gonna get in your car, you're gonna go home, you're gonna jerk off, and that's all you're gonna do.
You see, this is a test of one man's will. This is
loyalty.
Loyalty. Do you think if she hadn't OD'd and he decided to stay, they would have done it?
I don't know. He came out of the bathroom saying, "Listen, Mia, thanks." Like I think he had convinced himself he's got to leave.
But if he had stayed,
if he had stayed, he was gonna fucking fuck that up real bad. Listen. You talk about characters this movie having redemption, like being showing like okay, maybe at the end of the day that they're not bad people, they're just lost their way, which it all circles back to Ezekiel 25:17. Like, who are you? Are you the evil man? Are you the weak man? Or are you the shepherd? Like, there's three types of character. Vincent is the weak man. Like, he never ever comes out of this at all, no matter where he is, as a good person. He does everything for himself, even with like saving her is only because it's Mia Wallace's wife. If that had been some fucking, some like what does Lance say, some cheap puta or something like that who just died, like who was like a whore or something like that, I don't think he would have gave a shit as much because I don't think he's a great guy.
No, of course he wouldn't have, and 100%, he's not a good guy. No, definitely not. And I suppose that's the whole point of like you could imagine, that the decision that Jules made, he's gonna live the rest of his life. Whereas we see what happened to Vincent a few days later.
Yeah, he's gonna die anyway. So like, it's funny when he says to Lance, like I'm a fucking grease spot, man. And it's like, hey, you're gonna be anyway. But we have the power of knowing that. He doesn't know that.
No, he doesn't know that. And as I said earlier, he's a junkie and as well. And yeah, these aren't good people. So Mia finds Vincent's madman and snorts it. So this is a shocking reaction of her taking this drug, this heroin, snorting this heroin. And of course, then passing out, the blood coming out of her nose, her eyes rolling back in her head. She thought it was cocaine because of the way it was tied up. He didn't have a balloon. He says, "Will you take a baggie?" But she doesn't know that. Nope. And then we fade out and we cut to Mia ODing on the floor. So this is horrific. There's blood coming out of her nose, foaming sick coming out of her mouth, and Vincent starts freaking out. "Oh, fuck me. Fuck me. Mary, say her, Mia. Anyway.
All right, come on, girl.
We're going to go walk. You gotta go. I love how he lifts her head and all the stuff all comes out over his hand. So we cut to Vincent driving frantically down the road. He calls Lance and he's on the sofa eating cereal, fruit brute, and watching TV, ignoring the ringtone. Um, yeah, of course, Vincent's saying, "Fuck you, Lance."
And then fucking you can hear Rosanna Arquette in the other room. I thought you told those fucking assholes never to call here this late. I did, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell this fucking asshole right now.
Yeah, I love that. And there's Trudy's just sitting there still in the same
Just sitting
spot where
around.
she was earlier that morning. Just
She doesn't get it. And she
not
doesn't even-
moving at
when
all,
she
just
says
watching.
nothing. When they come in the house with her, she's there, but she never speaks. She's just hanging around.
No, she's sitting there. Yep, exactly. So apparently Tarantino says that her character was conceived as like if you go into any drug dealer's house, that there's always a junkie sitting there just for no reason, saying nothing, doing nothing, just sitting there. So
she plays
that's
it
why
well.
he's there. She does, yeah. Our Bruna, as we call her, our Bruna. Anyway, so he eventually answers the phone to Vincent. He tells him he's bringing a chick over. You gotta help me, man. I've got this chick who's fucking ODing on me. Don't bring her here. You're gonna have to bite the bullet and bring her to a hospital. I
Call a
can't. She's
lawyer.
fucking down on me, man. Yeah, that's right. Call a lawyer. But I love how he says, "Are you calling me on a cellular phone? Prank call, prank call." He puts the phone down. Who is this? Prank call. So Lance hangs the phone up, and then you hear the crouch outside, and he goes running out, and Vincent's crouched the car into the side of his house, and all he's concerned about is the girl that's ODing. He doesn't even say, "Look at my fucking house." He's just like, "Are you fucking out of your mind? What are you doing bringing an ODing chick into this, into my house?" So that's what, as you say, he says to him that if you know who Marcellus Wallace is, well, if you don't help me, I'm going to end up a grey spot.
Yeah.
So
see, fucking crazy. Is that? I wonder if that's fucking Uma Thurman, by the way, like just being carried in like a fucking lifeless body. He drops her on the ground and everything. Like he doesn't even give a shit.
Drops her head on that.
Yeah.
No, drops her head onto the grass. That's right. And they pick her up and bring her inside. And I love how I've read out Trudy's just there on the sofa, just watching all this. And Lance and Jody argue about the little black book.
That's fucking great. And this is, I always feel like this is an argument that Fate's like, this is us, like, because we've had like similar little squabbles as husband and wife. Like, like Fate will say something like, I'm looking for something. She's like, if it was so important, then why didn't you leave it with that? I don't fucking know. Leave me alone.
Little black medical book. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I
So-
love that John Travolta tells her like one of my favorite lines in the movie. I'll quote this one too. He's like, "I need you to go get me a magic marker." She's like, "A what? A magic fucking marker? A felt pen? A fucking black magic marker?"
You got it? What? A magic marker. A felt pen. A fucking black magic marker.
A fucking felt pen. Magic marker. So yeah, Vincent prepares to give Mia the adrenaline shot after debating with Lance who should do it. I love how Lance says, "See, when I bring an OD and check over to your house, then I'll give her the shot. But since you brought her here, you give her the shot." And he's like, "Okay, give me it."
And then he's explaining. He's like, "So what am I supposed to do?" And he's explaining. He's like, he's doing the demonstration of the motion.
Stab down in a motion and a stabbing motion. What? I got to stab her 3 times?
You don't gotta stab her 3 fucking times. You stab her once. She's got the breastplate. You gotta break through.
You got to break through and push the plunger in. And he's like, "Okay," after 3. So, John, this has to be the most suspenseful scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, the first time I saw this, you couldn't even. It's tough to look at, and the trick that Tarantino pulls is we never actually see the needle go in.
No.
He cuts away, and it's just that you hear it though, and it almost makes you believe that you actually saw it go in.
You hear the thud.
Yeah.
It's the whole kind of like slowly closing in on the marker drawn on her chest, and just showing that big syringe with the big massive needle, the adrenaline dripping out of it, the sweat on their faces that just zooms in on them, and as that comes down, all you got to hear is the thud, boom, and you don't even have to see it go in, and she jumps up screaming and not knowing where the hell she is, and it's kind of horrific.
Yeah, and then she's like, if you're okay, say something. Man, that was trippy.
Yeah. And even Trudy has got off the sofa, I think, by this stage. She's over watching.
Yeah, she's watching. Ain't saying a goddamn
yes.
word, but she's watching.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out as well, speaking about Trudy and Jody, one of my favorite lines was when Travolta was in Vincent was in band the drugs, and Lance says, "Hey, what are you doing later on? Do you fancy taking Trudy out somewhere?" And he's like,
Just had a
"Which
bunch
which one's Trudy? The one with all the shit all over her face?" And he says, "No, that's Jody. That's my wife."
and then he's just like,
And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." Which got me thinking, like, how did he not know who his wife is? Surely he's been there loads of times.
Right? It seems like he knows him very well. Like he would know who Jody was, but I don't know. He's also hasn't been there in years. Like he just got back from Amsterdam. He was there for months.
True. So maybe they'll get married in between, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe he forgot. Exactly. That's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's my wife. I forgot to mention that earlier. I just had to mention it there. Now we're talking about them again. But yeah, so cut to Vincent driving Mia home. Mia looks like a living dead doll. You know, she looks like a wee girl now. She doesn't look like a woman anymore. Know what I mean? Because she's been through. I mean, she. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say I love that this is a very similar to a shot from Grease, actually, when it's like him and Sandy, like very much they put the camera in the exact same place, and like but instead of her being all propped up like Sandy and beautiful, she's all fucked up with wearing someone else's t-shirt and everything.
Yeah, but I always got the feeling it was like she's got a childlike kind of demeanor to her about this wanting to be an actress and all this. No, I mean, and whereas like that's all playful and that's all pie in the sky and make believe, and her husband, who she knows fame really, is this ruthless, violent gangster, and it almost feels as if when she's doing drugs, but this has brought her down to earth with a bang, and we can see her. We kind of see who she really is now. She's just this vulnerable young woman.
Yeah, I mean, she gets to reap all the benefits of what he does, but she gets to live in like this fantasy land essentially, where everything goes her way, and she gets to fuck around. She definitely doesn't have to work. Though she used to be an actress, is how Samuel Jackson explains her. She's not an actress anymore.
Well, I always think about that, John, in the loosest of terms, right? And I suppose that maybe that ties into what the scene which I said, what was the point of that? Showing it's her introduction. She's playing games. She's just, she's bored, with the cameras in the house and going out. And why would you need like somebody to look after your wife when you're away? Like it's, and she needs to be entertained, and even like up in the stage, winning the trophy. It's all childlike stuff to me. And then now we're seeing that's who she really is. She puts this brave face on with the makeup and the hair and the kind of doing the drugs, but this is who she really is. And you really notice that as well, mate, when she's walking up the path with Vincent. She goes ahead. It just reminds me of like a young girl walking up there. And Vincent asks her thoughts on how they should handle this incident. And she says, well, how do you think we should? And he says, well, if Marcellus, I'm a great believer, if Marcellus has to go through his whole life, he need not even need to find out about this incident. And then she says, if he finds out about this, I'd be in as much trouble as you. And he says, I seriously doubt that. And he says, shake on it. And they shake on it. And that's where she opens up and says, do you want to hear my joke? Because whereas before she was guarded about the joke, she says about, I'm afraid you wouldn't laugh. No, what was it? He says, tell me the joke, promise I won't laugh. And she says, that's what I'm afraid of. So now she's not afraid to tell him the joke. Doesn't matter if he laughs or not. She's let her guard down, and she tells the joke. And he says, I'm going to go home and have a heart attack now. And he says, well, I'll tell you my joke. And he says, well, I'm not petrified, I mean laugh. And she says, that's okay. And it has to be like one of the oldest jokes in the book. So it is, but he barely laughs and he blows her a kiss.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I the end of a fucking crazy ass night, that's for sure.
Fade out. We hear a dog barking. Then we fade up to a cartoon on a TV. And this is Butch as a child. So we cut to a 1960s or 70s living room, John. 60s?
I was thinking late 60s, early 70s, something like that, around the Vietnam War.
Yeah, that's right. Because if he's maybe mid 30s, 1994, 93, 94. He looks
Yeah.
about 8 here. Yeah,
Makes
so it's
sense.
like what, 17 years before, so late 60s.
Something like that, isn't it?
No.
14? Don't they say 14 years? Maybe I'm wrong on that.
At 14 years, I'd be the 70s. So yeah, could probably just the late 60s, early 70s. Butch, as we see, is a small child. He's watching the TV, and his mother stands with a man in a military uniform. And this is Captain Coons, and he's played by the great Christopher Walken. And this is where he gives his watch speech.
This watch I got here was first purchased by your great-grandfather during the First World War. It was bought in a little general store in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Famous gold watch speech about his dad's watch.
Yes, his dad's watch, which is, passed through the generations from his grandfather, died wearing that watch, give it to the Butch's father, and his Butch's father had the watch, and he was captured by the Vietnamese, and so they couldn't get the watch. He had to hide the watch up his ass.
And the only place he could hide it, up his ass. And then for 5 years, he carried this hunk of metal up his ass. And then he died of dysentery. And, then I, for 2 more years, carried this watch up my ass. And now I'm giving this watch to you.
To you. It's such a great speech. It's such a weird one. You see Christopher Walken come into this movie, and he makes that speech.
He just comes in and this amazing monologue.
Yeah, but listen, I love Walken, and I love, but I don't know a person who doesn't, but I love how he just comes in. He's like, the only place he could hide it was up his ass.
And even the way he cuts, like the way his voice is, like he cuts it into like sometimes he's like, as the way your father saw it, this was your birthright, and he'd be damned if he was gonna let those slants take his watch your birthright away from you.
That's it. He's like, he'd be damned.
The way your dad looked at it, this watch was your birthright. You'd be damned if any slope's gonna put the greasy yellow hands on his boy's birthright. So he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass.
I just love how he's sitting there, John. It's just so matter of fact. He's just kind of like, he hit his ass,
Do you think he got dysentery from the watch being up his ass?
Possibly. Possibly, yeah. But yeah, it's insane. It's ludicrous. It's a crazy story, but
he's talking with an 8-year-old kid there, like a young kid, telling him this whole story about his father keeping this watch up his ass, and like all explaining like all these different world wars and how this watch is passed down through time and everything like that. He's a young kid, and he's like, I love how he says at the beginning, like like he understands, like, had it been me who died, it'd be your father talking to my son, Jim.
That's how it goes. I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
It keeps going, well, little man. It is weird. He's like, he's sitting talking to him. But yeah, he could have just come in and said, listen, I was in Vietnam with your dad. This was his watch. I'm handing it down to you. And that was it.
Tells the whole history of the watch. But you imagine for the 5 years, like they said, when you and your father, you became really close, and he probably told him the whole story of the watch. And he's like, make sure you tell my son the story, like, so he knows how important this watch is, which, like you said earlier, for us to know how important this watch is.
Yes. Again, this is just, John, another MacGuffin. It's sentimental. The watch is probably worth shit, but it's probably worth nothing. It's just all sentimental. Again, it's another MacGuffin to get him, because why would you put your life in danger for something that, for a watch? So okay, they could have made it maybe a priceless diamond, but that's a wee bit kind of unbelievable. Whereas like a sentimental thing is like, everybody can relate to a sentimental thing. Oh, you have to go, but you can't. That's irreplaceable.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So we fade to black, and we come up the title card, the gold watch, and we hear that Floyd Ray Wilson, we're hearing radio reports that he's been killed in the ring. He's dead. I think he's dead. And they said that Butch Coolidge made his way out of that ring as quick as possible.
Yep. And we could see him freaking diving out the actual window and jumping into a dumpster.
Yeah, we hear it while he's jumping out into the dumpster. That, again, to me, that is like cartoonish. Him jumping
It is
out that
cartoonish.
top window in like the dumpster. Yeah, but still wearing his gold robe, like a Rocky Balboa robe. I think, sorry, I had actually jumped ahead there. Before that, we actually seen Butch jumping up in the changing room.
Getting his head all ready.
Getting his head ready, yes, and getting ready for the fixed fight. And you can hear the crowd and everything on the outside. But you hear on the radio that Wilson is dead, okay? And you see this woman sitting in a cab listening to this. So she's been listening to it on the radio, very intently, very creepy ass woman. This, so this is as you said, he jumps into the garbage bin in an alleyway. It's the female driver of the cab is listening to the radio, and he gets in and she drives off. And as you say, you see a bare foot on the pedal. Who drives in their bare feet?
A fucking animal. I've tried to drive on a barefoot. It feels fucking weird. You're not just used to that. Like the pedal feels gross. It feels weird on your feet. It hurts. She's not going to do that, but that's just Tarantino and his foot fetish. You got to get that shot in.
He just had to get. Wonder did he ask her what her feet were like before he filmed that?
Yeah, he probably put her. He probably like, all right, pop those shoes off. Let me get a look at them. And like, all right, perfect. You're perfect for the role.
Yeah. Can you paint those nails?
That'd be nice. Okay, good.
Can we get the camera down there just again? Anyway, so
don't worry, I'll handle this. I'll handle this. Yeah, you need Norm Macdonald. He does a good Tarantino.
Yeah, my Tarantino isn't great. But anyway, yeah, the foot and the paddle. Anyway, so we pass the front of the venue and we see the sign outside: Battle of the Titans, Coolidge versus Wilson. So we cut to Vincent and Paul, the barman, making their way through a corridor to Wilson's dressing room. Now, Paul, the barman, this shows that he is more than just a barman.
Yeah, he's part of the gang. You know, he probably works the days there, but he probably does a little bit more. He probably works at the club, but like, you know, he's probably one of like Marcellus's like right-hand man, like, you know, like an assistant to him in a way.
Maybe he's like, and he's going to come up later, like Peter Green's character in The Mask. Maybe he like there's the manager of this club and it's Marcellus's club.
That's true. That's very, very true. You could see that. Like that does make a lot of sense, you know. Probably like they get there early in the morning. He probably doesn't have any employees there at that time, but like Marcellus is there. He's conducting business. I'll get the drinks for you, because then we see him kind of walk off and leave the bar. Like, you know, he's not just sitting behind it.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And here in the dressing room, we can see Wilson's laying dead. Mia answers the door. Marcellus is in there with Wilson's trainer. This is where first of all you see Vincent says to Mia, "How are you feeling?" And she says, "Fine. I didn't thank you for dinner the other night." So, you know, it's a couple of days later. And this is where you see Marcellus instructing Paul to set the dogs on Butch's trainer, because he says he doesn't know anything about this. And he says, don't assume, set the dogs on, find out exactly what he knows. So Butch basically hunters even his own trainer out to dry over this.
Yeah, you know, again, none of these people really are good people, but Butch at least gets some redemption, you know, for another bad guy, but still gets some redemption. Because he doesn't
I'll ask you about that when we get to that scene.
He doesn't give a shit that he killed this guy, you know?
No, well, back in the cab, right? Butch is getting changed, and the female driver is weirdly fascinated to know what at stake to kill the man. But Butch didn't know he killed him. So basically, the plan was that he was in with this guy. He was meant to dive in the fifth, get a big payday, and maybe retire somewhere, leave, because or maybe take a few days. You know, he's at the end of his career, but he's double crossed him. So this kid he's getting with probably is in on it. Knows I'm just gonna go in and just pretend, and then he's gonna drop in the fifth. So he's unprepared for this. He's unprepared for what's coming to him. That makes the fight even more dangerous for this kid Wilson. And of course, Butch goes in with the idea that fuck them, I'm gonna knock him out in a particular round and put the money on it. Right? So Butch has went in hard and he's knocked him out and he's got out of there before he's even seen what has happened. So just so he can get away before the gangsters get him. He could have even shot him dead in the ring. So this is the first he's hearing that he's actually killed him. And his first response is kind of like he's taken back. And then it's kind of like, oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, even when we see him on the phone a few minutes later, he's like, yeah, he should have been a better fucking boxer if he, you know. But then, like you just said, and we saw him in there with them, like, obviously he was in on the whole fix this kid. He probably didn't expect him to be going off and like beat the shit out of him. He probably didn't protect himself or prepare. Like, he's like, I'm winning in the fifth. That's fine. But you did kill him, and then he's like, yeah, basically, he should, fuck him. I'm not worried about him. He says on the phone, he's like, I'm worried about Mr. Butch or something like that. And Butch,
the rich Mr. Butch.
The rich Mr. Butch, yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get that, I just wanted to point out, John, the rear projection in the cab, that it's black and white.
It's very shoddy. Yeah.
You are the first person I've ever met who has killed somebody. So, what does it feel like to kill a man?
But it looks like it's black and white film.
It does. It doesn't look like they're on a regular road or anything. It's just like kind of lights on.
It's not even color, but it's not color.
No, and then the way they even light the interior of this cab, it's very unique. But I actually really like it. I think it looks awesome.
Well, I've written down here it's fantastic. I love it. You're in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He's not trying to hide it.
But this is a homage again. I don't know why, and I didn't look into the homages in this movie that Tarantino plays. Right, we've seen the Bat 2C is one of them, but there's another one which I know that it's from just from watching this movie and going, that's from that. I'll point that out when we get there. I'm sure you can guess. But this whole kind of rear projection in a car, that's his homage to older movies that done that. You see rear projection in The Godfather. Your man, James Cameron, uses it. He uses it in Terminator 2. And he openly says about using it in Terminator 2. And he loves doing it because it looks fake. And because all the movies they watched growing up, that's the way it was done. It's so this is just a pure homage to that kind of driving scenes, rear projection shots that all those great directors done throughout their careers. Hitchcock done it, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I love it. And even in Eyes Wide Shut, that's not Tom Cruise walking along in New York City. It's a rear projection of him on a treadmill. You can see that. So it's something that a lot of great directors have used, and it works. And like you said, you're in a movie, so it's like it's cool to like kind of you get that certain feeling while watching it, and perfect. I love it,
and that's why I feel like he picked a black and white one.
Yeah, to make it just so obvious.
Yeah, make it really stand out. But it's probably a yellow cab, and it's probably why it lights it like that in the inside. But it's great. I really love it. And she, of course, the taxi driver is called Esmeralda Villalobos. Lobos, yeah. But Colombian, yes. I was Colombian. Okay, I was thinking Mexican for some reason.
Because he said that to her. He's like, "What is that, Mexican?" And he's like, "The name's." She's like, "No, the name is Spanish, but I'm actually Colombian." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, "What's your name?" And he says, "Butch." And she's like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "I'm American. My name doesn't mean anything."
Our names don't mean shit, honey.
Yeah, our names don't mean shit, honey.
So, as you already mentioned, John, we cut to the payphone and he's discussing with Scotty about their double cross and their winnings and where they will be meeting. So, Butch, again, you already touched on this. There's no remorse about the death of Wilson. He tries to rationalize it in his head. I suppose in a lot of ways that we may try and rationalize it. He says, fuck him. If he was a better fighter, then he wouldn't be dead. He shouldn't have even laced him up in the first fucking place.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been in there. But it's like you guys had an agreement, and like he wasn't prepared for that, and you just fucking beat the ever loving shit out of him. I mean, I get it. You were just trying to knock him out, but you kill him. But I guess the human thing would be, as always, is to rationalize it in your head. You got to move past it.
Well, again, as you said, just shows you how much of a piece of shit Butch is. He really is. He's not a good guy. None of these guys are good.
None of them are good. None of them are good.
No. So, cut to the taxi pulling up at the drive-in River Glen Motel. And Butch pays Esmeralda $45.60. That's a lot.
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty far away from where they were because I'm guessing he couldn't have him trace him like to anywhere in the local area of where the fight was.
Yeah, it's pretty far away. Maybe smarter to stay closer so they think he's not in the area.
Yeah, well, it worked out. They never found the hotel.
They didn't find a hotel, and he pays her a little extra to keep quiet about her passenger.
Yeah.
Butch.
See you later, Butch.
Butch. Anyway, so Butch enters the motel room, where his girlfriend Fabian, played by Maria I can't read that. What I write down there? Midoreris lays on the bed. She sucks the life out of me.
She's horrible.
Isn't she? I've wrote here she's a drag.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, her feet must have really impressed Tarantino. I read that he met her like while making Reservoir Dogs, like on the film circuit, like sharing this at festivals. He met her. She's a Portuguese actress.
Right.
I don't know. She's fucking terrible. I don't understand this casting. Like they have like I feel like Bruce Willis is really trying with her, but she is just not a good actress. I mean, and Butch loves her. That's one thing that's made very clear. He really does love her. Like they spend so much time in this hotel of them like just bonding, like talking about blueberry pancakes, this whole fucking thing. He even makes you kind of feel bad when he gets mad at her for the gold watch, but it's like, man, she fucking sucks.
Yeah, she does, and she's pretty girl, but it's not who I imagine Butch to be with.
No, he does seem to like foreign chicks though.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, well I think the cab driver's a lot better looking than this girl.
Better looking and definitely a better actress.
yeah. But as you say, they talk about, first of all, she asks about spooning, and then she starts talking about pot bellies. I've heard the suggestion, John, that she's hinting that she's pregnant.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just can't fucking ever look past her at all. Like, she's just very, very innocent. Like, that's one thing about her. She's extremely innocent.
Yeah, maybe that's what he likes in her. She's pure.
Yeah, she doesn't mean well. She doesn't, but yeah, she's with a guy who's like super violent. Like,
Well, this is a funny thing here. She asks, did everything go as planned? And were you the winner? Well, she says, everything goes as planned. And he says, yes. And then she says, were you the winner? And he says, yeah. But if she knew the plan, then she would have knew he was the winner.
Yeah, I don't know what's he telling her. Like, I don't know. That's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? Did everything go as planned? Yes. Were you the winner? Yes. Well, if it went as planned, then he was the winner.
Yeah, well, we obviously can tell she ain't too fucking bright.
I don't know. I don't get that. I don't get that line. Anyway, I thought. So the scene ends in oral pleasure.
Yep.
And he asks, "Will you kiss it?" And she says, "You first." Fair enough. That's the word I'm looking for. I can't think. Yeah, I condone that. Anyway, fade out.
I mean, good for him. Good for him and good for her. I'm glad that they got off,
Yeah.
Right now, they're on cloud 9. Things are going well. They think they're going to get out of there in the morning. No problem. They got everything they need. He doesn't have his gold watch, though.
He doesn't know what yet. His troubles are just beginning. Fade in, and Butch is in the shower, and Fabian is drying her hair, and they discuss their potential future, their plans. She starts brushing her teeth, and Butch goes to the bed and conks out. Fade out. So they have this weird conversation where he's like, calling her a retard, and he's going, Fabian. And she's like, don't be doing that, dude, like I'm a Mongol. It's weird. Who does that to their girlfriend?
I don't know. I think they're trying to show them like that they're playful together, which I get it. But again, she's just not a good actress.
It's weird. Anyway, so then she goes out and he's conked out. Anyway, so we hear the sound of brushing teeth and we fade in and it's morning time. So Butch jumps forward a week. And I've made a note here, John. He's giving Jesse from Elm Street 2 a run for his money. all you need is Mr. and Mrs. Welch to run in and go, if you had another nightmare, Butch, I'll call the doctor. No, it's okay. It's the battery. So he starts Fabian and she pushes him out of bed, lazy bones, and she starts talking about what she wants for breakfast, blueberry pancakes. And look, I suppose the whole intention of all this, John, is just to show their relationship and it's light and it's like normal everyday things that people do before, as you say, he has such a weird fucking day, right? And I'm guessing that's what they're just showing here. And this is where Butch realizes that his watch isn't there. Fabian forgot to lift it from the apartment. And I have to point out here that Bruce Willis is actually almost laughing when he says Do you know what my father had to go through to get me that watch? Well, I don't have time to go into it, but I went through a goddamn awful lot. And he turns around, he's laughing.
Almost like he's like thinking about like what he had to do, like it up his ass.
Well, I think the actor's laughing, not the character. I think he's laughing.
Like he just,
I think they just left it in.
Yeah, I mean that's possible. I assume that's what it is, and he just figured, whatever, it's not a big deal.
Because watch it again when he goes, do you know what my father had to go through to get that watch? And then he goes, I don't have time to go into it now, but it was a goddamn awful lot. And he turns his head. I guess you can see if he's kind of laughing. Then he turns back and he goes, now, did you or did you not get the watch? But it's like he honestly, and you're certain he's laughing, and then he turns around again, and it's not the character. It's Bruce Willis is actually starting to laugh because he's read the script and went, hell.
Yeah, I know. It's not the greatest line. It's very cheesy in that moment. Like that is a cheesy line because we know what happened, so he's not going to explain it all. So he needs a line in there to like move past it. Like,
Yeah, well, he's not going to explain it to her all again. That's just to move past
because
it.
we as the viewer already know what happened. We saw the whole goddamn story, so we have to move past it. So we gotta. That's why that line is written that way.
Yeah, and listen, is it the type of story you tell your girlfriend?
I
Especially
mean,
if you're walking about with it on your arm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. So this watch was up his ass. You could change out the fucking wristband. I mean, get it sanitized.
well, there was no wristband on it when Walken gave it to him, but when he picks it up from the apartment, there's a
you could buy another band.
There's a strap on it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like it's what do you call them? It's not leather or nothing. It's what do you call them?
Like the
There's a
metal
name.
chain, right?
It's the chain. There's a name for it. But it's that one. Yeah, he just puts it on over his wrist. But listen, if you were going to with Faith in the early days, John, when you were as in love as Bruce Willis and Fabian were, would you say if you had that watch in your arm and you were out for dinner one night and you're dating, would you say, do you want to know where that watch was?
Oh, well, I don't give a shit. I'll tell her.
But I'm talking in the early days now,
I guess
now you've been married for years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know when I started telling her shit. I don't know. You go through like the putting on airs phase for like the first couple of months, and then like Faith lied to me and told me she liked Taco Bell for like the first like few months we're together, and then it all came out and she doesn't like Taco Bell. That's just crazy.
See, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know how long these two have been together. So maybe he's not ready to tell her yet.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've been together. That's true. They do seem like they're still in that honeymoon phase.
Exactly. And she even said the night before, "Are you sure you want me to still go with you?" And he says, "I want you to go." And she's, "Come with me." He nods and she says, "Tell me." And he says, "I want you to come with me." So that's not people who have been together a long, long time.
No, it's still pretty new.
Yeah. He goes berserk, throws the TV. So he does, motherfucker, son of a. But this is kind of scary because this is I know he doesn't. He's lost his rag. He's not directly taking it out on her, but it could be perceived here as domestic violence.
Yeah, he doesn't directly, but you get it. He's very upset. That's the only thing he actually cared about. He says in the car, "It's like I should have made it clear that like you could have left anything else. That was the only thing I wanted you to bring."
Well, he calms down. She's kind of curled in the corner, and he calms down, and he starts getting changed. And he says, "I'm gonna have to go to the apartment to get the watch." He says, "If there's any issues, I won't go. I'll just get the hell out of there." And he gives her money for the breakfast and says, "I'll be back before you could say blueberry muffin or blueberry pie." Sorry, is it blueberry muffin? Blueberry muffin. And then she says, "Blueberry muffin." Yeah, I can't remember. He says something to her and then leaves. Some anger issues there, if you ask me. So, question. If the watch is that important, why didn't he bring it with him to the fight and leave it in his locker?
That's what I always ask too. But I guess, that's one of those, it's a movie thing. Like we have to have the watch left there. But yeah, if it meant that much to him, that's the one thing you fucking bring. It's a watch. Like it's so small. You could easily bring that with you. Wear it to the fight, take it off. You had your bag there.
Yeah.
You had a bag. You saw him drop the bag,
and he changed into his clothes, so he could have had it with the clothes.
Yeah. That's the only thing that meant that much to you. Like easily could have brought it. Totally avoidable.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's a flaw. But look, again, it's the MacGuffin, which
we need this. This is the whole driving instance of this whole segment. It's called the gold watch.
Exactly. So cut, as you say, the butts in the car, and he's giving off stink about Fabian leaving the watch behind on the counter.
The kangaroo.
On the kangaroo.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
which is like I relate to this because this is something like you kind of do, isn't it? It's
Oh,
like
this is so relatable. Everyone's done this. Like, you
Yeah.
leave the person you're mad at. You don't want to like flip out in front of him. He flipped out a little bit, but you don't want to do it. You want to try and make him feel better. And like, it's okay. It's okay. But then you lose your fucking mind in the car. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I mean, I would never throw a TV, but if I was angry, maybe I would say a few things and then calm down like him and go, okay, whatever it is, I'll go and do what it is or go and get it. And it's like you say, as soon as you leave, you're like, I fucking told him. What the fucking doing it, didn't do it.
Yeah. You got to get it out. So that's what he's doing. He's getting it out.
He's getting it out of the car on the kangaroo. Anyway, so he pulls up in the block next to his apartment complex and makes his way through the back gardens, through a fence, through a grass area, and he's across the road from his apartment complex. You can see it across the way. And we cut the butch walking through the complex on guard. He's kind of watching where he's going, looking around him, and he makes his way to his apartment and gently goes in. He lifts the watch off the kangaroo, puts it on his wrist, looks about, then he goes into the kitchen to make Pop-Tarts. Is that what it is? Pop-Tarts?
Cinnamon Pop-Tarts. Yep.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that's what you call them in America, but I think they originated from America. Pop-Tarts. We used to have them here.
They call them toaster. If you look on the box, it doesn't say Pop-Tarts. It's like toaster strudels or something like toaster something like that, because they can't use the brand Pop-Tarts because that's actually a brand. So it's just toaster something. But yeah, it's Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So where he notices an Uzi with a massive silencer on the counter, and he picks it up. And this is when we hear the toilet flush, and Vincent Vega emerges from the bathroom. And I love how he startled, he just kind of opens it, and so he's just standing there.
Yeah, what can you do? The gun's in your face.
Yeah. I don't know about you, and I know hindsight's 2020, but if I'm going to do a hit and I need to go to the toilet, I'm bringing that gun with me.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I don't know what he's expecting. But again, Vincent's a fucking drug addict. He's fucking not really the brightest guy.
Yeah, his head could be a bit hazy.
Yeah, he's definitely hazy. So yeah, he fucking comes out and he's shocked, and then like that's it. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't talk your way out of it. He's a fucking idiot, but he's also not a stupid fucking idiot. He knows like that. What am I gonna say now? He's gonna kill me.
And do you think if Jules was still with the organization, things would have been different?
Well, you know who's there with him. He wasn't alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know who his co-worker there is.
Yeah,
Marcellus Waltz.
So his co-workers, so Jules isn't there anymore, so he sends Vincent by himself.
No, Marcellus is working with him. He's out getting donuts.
Oh yes, that because I always wondered where is he? I just thought he may have been sitting in a car with a bunch of other goons. So it's Marcellus, right enough. Yeah,
that's the only reason why he would be going to buy fucking donuts. Like, why would Marcellus be out there in the middle of the street walking with donuts? He walked down the block and got some donuts.
Yeah, in my imagination, he was looking for Butch, but he wasn't with Vincent, right? Yeah. I thought maybe he had a crowd of guys in a car around the corner or something. That's what I was sitting thinking. But that makes sense if he was at the apartment with Vincent.
Yeah, he ran out and got his breakfast. That's why fucking, she's going out to breakfast. He's making Pop-Tarts. Marcel's getting donuts. So like, the whole thing makes a lot of sense. So that's why Vincent's all alone.
Yeah, that's why he's on his own, right? Okay, but the Pop-Tarts, the toaster pops, and Butch shoots him. So you think that the Pop-Tarts popping up made him pull the trigger?
Yeah, exactly. He popped up and then he pulled the trigger. And honestly, what I love about this scene is the little touch of like he fires the gun, the smoke alarm goes off. I'm like, you know what? Yes. The smoke alarm would go off. You never see that in any other movie ever.
Yes. And I love that as well, John, because as he leaves, you can still hear it all the way until it fades.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. We see Vincent's bloody body first in the bathtub. You have to see the body, and it's gruesome. It's a great shot. It's convincing, and the book that he's reading is called Modesty Blasé. That's a real book, but I think it's a makeshift cover. But it was a real, as I mentioned earlier, came out in the 60s, comic strip novel about a British female secret agent. Probably kind of like James Bond or something like that. Butch cleans the gun and then leaves, and then he makes his way to his car back the way he came, and a song comes on the radio, Flowers on the Wall by the Starter Brothers. And he drives off, and I love when he stops and he's like, "That's how you're gonna beat him, Butch. They keep underestimating you." He's in cloud nine. He thinks, "Oh, that's it." And anyway, he drives off again. He's singing the song. Captain Flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all. Smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Anyway, and he comes to a zebra crossing when Marcellus comes walking along with the donuts. And I fucking love this bit. He just stops dead in his tracks and slowly looks around and he goes, "Motherfucker."
Yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but I always think of The Simpsons with this one.
Nuts. I got donuts. Hey, I know you.
No.
This is a pure homage to Psycho.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That makes sense.
Yes. Where Marion Crane is driving out of town. She stops at a zebra crossing and her boss comes walking along. It's a pure homage to Psycho. Only it is, her boss is going that way, but Marcellus is coming that way. And even the way the camera's on the wheel and the way they kind of notice each other. Now, if they ever make another remake of Psycho, right, I want her boss to stop and look and say, "Marion Crane, motherfucker." So it is fucking hilarious.
But I always think of Chief Wiggum when he sees Snake driving along. He looks at him and he says, "Hey, I know you." And then he hits him with the car.
Because he can't say the AMF word.
Yeah.
It's the Simpsons. Yeah, they done that whole homage. I think that's funny when they done the whole homage to Pulp Fiction in the Simpsons.
Yeah, I love
they're
it.
in the diner and all saying, "You know what you call a burger in Europe?" You know?
Oh, it's so great. And then when he hits Chief Wiggum and then he's running after him, he's like, "Hey, we need to exchange insurance information."
It's too long since I've seen that one, John. But yeah, I remember that. But as I say, that's the homage that I was like, "Oh, it's from Psycho." I knew that one right away. Well, I'd seen this before. I'd seen the
You're
original
100%
Psycho.
right. Yeah.
But when I watched Psycho, I went, "That's Pulp Fiction. That's where you got it from." So yeah, but the difference is he puts the boot down, runs Marcellus over, and a car crashes in the Butchers, and we fade out, John. So next thing is we hear voices like, "He's dead," and we fade in. There's a group of concerned citizens staring and gathered around an unconscious Marcellus. And I love that, like, you see the crowd, and then it cuts to just his face lying on the ground, and you see his eyes flicker, and then he opens them. I think that's brilliant. He's helped to his feet to see Butch across the road, sitting in his crashed car, holding ice on his broken nose. But I love how the woman beside him says, "Mister, if you need me as a witness, I'd do it. He was a drunken maniac. He run you over, and then he crashed into that car over there." And he's like, and Marcellus doesn't know what the hell he is. He doesn't know what the hell happened. And he's like, "Who?" And she's like, "Him." And then he's like, "Well, I'll be damned." Puts the gun out. Totally just suddenly remembers everything that's happened.
Yeah, because he was knocked unconscious and he fucking all came to him and he's like, "Oh, that's right. Now I got to go kill this motherfucker." And then all the crowd scatters when the gun comes out.
Yeah. But I love how they just assume he was a drunken maniac. Yes, he's not even drinking.
No, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to hit him.
Yeah, they just thought he was drink driving. And but you'd think Butch would be trying to get the fuck out of there before he came around, unless he thought he was dead.
That, or like he's just all fucked up too from getting in that accident. You see his face is all fucked up.
Broken nose, can't even breathe. But yeah, you're right, because he's kind of looking at him, and as Marcellus kind of staggers towards him, holding the gun, he shoots the girl beside him. But before he shoots her, you see Bruce Willis kind of looking at him as if he's just not reacting.
No.
It's like what the fuck? It's like, what's going on? And it's only when he shoots her, he's like, "Oh shit," and then starts running.
And he's running. He's got a limp in his leg and everything because he was just in an accident too. So he's fucking like they're both all fucked up.
Yeah, they're both really injured. So as I say, Marcellus chases him, and they're both running and trying to anyway. I love how Marcellus is like falling all over the place. He gets the alleyway, falls over, and we cut to a man in a shop, Maynard, played by Dune Whittaker. He's listening to the radio, and the song is If Love is a Red Dress, Hang Me in Rags by Maria McGee. Sounds like a real Irish name. Or McKee, sorry, McKee. And it's that's gonna whistle, but I'm laughing. I love how he's just sitting there listening to this.
Yeah, he's just enjoying his day. No cell phones. Although there are cell phones actually in this movie. We see it a couple times. Very early movie for cell phones.
Yeah, it is. And you hear later on as well in the diner, you hear Pumpkin Ringo saying, "Is that a cellular phone? Put it in the bag."
It's 94. Like I'm telling you, my dad was the first person I knew to get a cell phone, and that was 98. So when I remember him getting one, I'd be being like, "Holy shit, you can just bring it with you."
Yeah, I was the same with it. First job I ever started working, the people I work with had cell phones, and first time I ever seen them, and then but they were work phones, work paid for them. Like hardly any
civilians had them.
It was kind of
my dad got it from work.
Yeah, and they had the aerial on them and stuff, and it was like late 90s, early 2000s before like normal people just started popping up with all these phones.
Yep. All of a sudden, then people had cell phones. Like I literally remember my dad having a beeper, and then when he was at work, because like I would go to work with him sometimes, people would talk around the yard because he worked at a plant nursery, with walkie-talkies.
Walkie-talkies. There you go. Yeah, Nokia 3210, John. Those type of phones
came around. Yeah, but in this
Motorola.
Yeah, at this time you could tell like the phones they were so new. Like Vincent, when he has to take the phone out, he pulls up the antenna like with his mouth and everything.
That's the way the phones I remember were the first ones, because I worked for a construction firm, so we had like what they called gangs working all over the province. They're digging holes and stuff like that. So a lot of their managers would have to go out, and site inspectors go out to the site, so they were always on the phone. Yeah. So they were phoning them and stuff like that.
That was the only purpose for them. Otherwise, everyone else just go find a landline or a payphone. You're fine.
Yeah. But if you're in the office, and the payphones are in, or sorry, the landlines are in the office. But if they're driving about, that's when they would be used. But even then, they were walking about the office using them. It was like this new.
Maybe I had it.
Yeah. Listen, I remember this place here. A bit of a side note here. So my dad worked for a telephone company for many years, fixing phones, and so. My work experience, he became a manager, and he was responsible for putting in the poles.
Yeah.
For the lanes, he was responsible. He was one of the managers. He was responsible for that contract. And I done we do a thing here in our last year of school, which we talked about in Neighbour Elm Street. 5th year, you have to do a week of work experience. So you go and work somewhere for a week, right? And it's called work experience. So my dad got me to work for this construction firm, which I ended up working for. Right when I left school, and one of the jobs that he asked me to go out and do, there was a guy that worked there, had to remove a load of phone kiosks in the backyard. So this was 1998, early 98, and it was like February, and my dad said, "Go up with him, and he'll show you what to do." And I went up there, and he had a forklift, and he was stacking old phone kiosks, and it was fucking snowing, and I'm standing there freezing my balls off, and I eventually said to him, "I have to go to the toilet, I'll be back soon." And I went down to the office and sat down at the desk and just sat there
just shivering like, this is fucking life, huh?
And my dad came, and the other that day my dad found out and came and give off to me. "Why'd you come down from there? You told you to go up there and help him." I'm like, he was in a forklift moving fucking phone kiosks. I'm standing watching him because I was freezing. I was only 16. So, but as I say, you're talking about finding a payphone. They were getting rid of the phone kiosks then. They're piling them up at the back of the yard.
Yeah, they were starting to become obsolete. Now there's none.
You barely find any. So anyway, back to Pulp Fiction. So Butch comes running in, followed by Marcellus, and they start fighting. Feel that sting, big boy? That's pride fucking with you. And I love how Marcellus says, "You better kill me," because that is the response. It's like, because if I get out of this, you're a dead man, And he's like, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna blow your fucking head off." And he's about to shoot Marcellus with his own gun when Maynard pulls a shotgun on him, and he tells him to toss the gun. And he's like, "Is it any of your goddamn business, mister?" And he says to them, "You don't understand, man." And he throws the gun, tells him to approach the counter with his hands on his head, and KOs him with the butt of his gun.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Butch is a boxer. So obviously, because he's, I think of this like, Butch isn't firing on all cylinders here,
Yeah, it's just an accident and everything too.
Yeah, getting hit with that in the nose or the
Yeah.
jaw.
Yeah, he's knocked him the fuck out.
Have you ever been hit with the butt of a gun before, John?
No, I haven't. I have been knocked out before, so it does hurt. I always tell the story because I got in a fight in high school with some kid, and he was way bigger than me, like really a lot bigger than me, big fat guy. And I got a couple of hits on him before he even swung one time, knocked me out cold. You wake up feeling refreshed, so I don't know, but
really?
Unfortunately Butch didn't wake up feeling refreshed because he had the thing in his mouth. But I did.
As long as you didn't wake up strapped to a chair with a gag in your mouth.
What a terrible way to wake up.
I know, but when you came around, it was the first thing that kind of, where the fuck am I?
No, you do come out like confused. Like you wake up like in the morning. I always say it's like 30 seconds of bliss before everything clicks in about your life. You feel like, man, like everything's, you still got you're clear minded for a second, but everything's got to come to of what everything is, and that's basically what these guys are all waking up like. It's like when Marcel's woke up and Butch, like they were all fucked up from the accident. Like everything's got to come back. It takes a minute.
It's like Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton fought Floyd Mayweather. And he got knocked out. It was the first time he was ever knocked out in his career. And he tells a story. Ricky Hatton, R.I.P. by the way. He tells the story that when he came around, he could see the lights, and he thought it was the sun shining through his bedroom window. And he thought he was in bed. And the next minute he seen all these people around him, and he went, "Oh fuck!" And then he was like, "What happened?" They're like, "You get knocked out."
You literally get knocked out.
Yeah, but I have been hit on the top of the head by a gun before.
Really?
By the butt of a gun
you
before.
told me the story. Yeah.
Yes. So, you know the story. I'll keep that one to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he knocks him out, and he, as you say, pulls the phone over, and he picks the phone up, and he says, "Zed, Spider's just caught a couple of flies."
So this has happened a few times.
Yeah. So Marcellus kind of like passes out. He's kind of watching, passes out. See, when you first watch this, John, you think he's going to phone the cops, don't you?
No, that's what you would assume, but you could tell like these guys he's another piece of shit.
Yeah. And if we fade out, and we fade in to Marcellus and Butch tied to chairs in the basement, gagged. Maynard wakes them up with cold water, and he tells them nobody kills anybody in my place of work without me and Zed say so.
Yeah. You should have known that. It's the rules, man.
Yeah, let's see the sign above the door. So Zed arrives in the scene, played by Peter Green.
Same year as The Mask.
It is. And Maynard brings out the Gimp.
The Gimp. Bring out the Gimp.
Yeah, bring out the Gimp. Imagine when he brought the Gimp out, it was Rico from The Mask, and he came out and he went, "Hello, Dorian." But this is played by a British actor called Stephen Hibbert. And he just died in March, and he was married. He was married to the girl at Joe's Monster Truck.
Oh, really? Joe's daughter.
The girl that comes out later. He was married to her.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I think they were both comedians.
Oh, well, you got to be a comedian to be fucking willing to do this role. You don't see him. He screams a little bit. That's it.
Before the internet really came along and stuff like that, John, that there was rumors about this movie. We talked about this movie. It was like, what's in the briefcase? And then we heard Steve Buscemi's in it. Well, who's Steve Buscemi? He plays Buddy Holly. Oh, right, okay. And do you know who plays the Gimp? Michael Madsen.
Ah, you're just trying to connect this to Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, that was the rumor for years that I heard. Michael Madsen plays the Gimp, but he doesn't. So Zed says, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo," to decide which one they're going to do first. And I love how he stops and then he continues.
Which is something you used to do as a kid. You're like, you stop and you go, "My mother says to pick the perfect one. You are it."
But surely there's only two people. You know where you start, where you're going to end.
Yeah, usually you do. I mean, I haven't done it since I was a kid, but usually you know what you're getting at. You can manipulate it so it ends up where you wanted. They wanted him. They wanted Marcel's first.
They did. That's why he continued. That's right. They did, and I love how the camera pans to him,
Yep.
because you don't know who he's pointing at. The camera just pans over to him,
Yep.
and he's trying to protest. What is he saying?
He's like,
You think- but he says, they say, do you want to do it here? And he's like, bring it back to Russell's old room. So who is Russell, John?
it's not the Gimp, because they keep the Gimp down in that fucking. It's just
Mhm.
chained up all goddamn day.
Yeah. See, what was the theory I heard? Something I was listening to, that apparently these are serial killers, and they pick guys up and bring them back and rape them and kill them. And
Seems that way.
Russell was somebody that they picked up and killed or something, or they kept in that room and eventually killed them. They kept them and raped them in there.
Yeah, I mean, these people are fucked up. That's for sure.
Apparently inspired by Deliverance.
Well, that does make sense. It adds up. But man, my God, like, which another 70s movie that Tarantino probably clearly loves. But yeah, I just can't believe that this is, it just shows you like the hidden nature of some people. Like, these guys are a bunch of, into fucking gay sex and raping, and they're all fucked up, man.
Depraved people.
Yep.
Zed drags Marcellus into the back room, and Maynard ties up the Gimp, leaving Butch there. And then the song starts, Comanche by the Rebels. Maynard slams the door shut. You see there's blood all on the wall and on the door.
Yep. Again, this is like their little fucking dungeon.
Yep. And you start hearing the noises from the room. The Gimp starts laughing, and Butch breaks out of his ropes. Now, how did he break out of this?
He's strong. He breaks the chair.
Yeah, it's the chair, and everything goes. Yeah, okay. And the Gimp screams, and he KOs him with a left hook and unties himself and leaves. So he grabs Zed's keys on the way, and he gets to the front door and has a change of heart, stops. So here's my question, John, for you. Why do you think he went back?
I think he had a change of conscience a little bit, knowing that these guys, what they're doing to him is a little too far. Like, I can't let them do that to him. Like, I fucked this guy over pretty bad. That's one thing if I can get away and he's going to be all right. But he's like, these guys are fucking animals. Like, they're depraved animals. I can't just let them do that to him. And he kind of just like, okay, I'll save him for this. And maybe, buy himself the gangsters from changing him if he saves his life.
Yeah, I think you see that kind of look on his face. He's like, he's enraged, I think, that they done this to him. And then I think, as you say, he's disgusted at what they're doing. Yep. And he's like, fuck these guys. I don't care about the consequences.
Yeah, they're too fucking...
Of Marcellus anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you his comeuppance.
Yeah, and he does.
He does. So I love how he goes through a range of weapons to use, John.
I know. He starts with the hammer, then he grabs the bat, then he grabs the chainsaw until he eventually ends up with the Comanche sword.
With the samurai sword. But I love when he lifts the chainsaw, he does like the forward motion, as if, how are you going to use this?
Yeah.
Nah, then that's when he snooks up and he sees the sword. This is the one we're going to use. So it's kind of like a video game, what's your weapon of choice?
Well, funny enough, in one of the Grand Theft Autos, you go into a weapon store and the weapons on the wall are a hammer, a baseball bat, a chainsaw, and a sword. You get to pick from them as an homage to Pulp Fiction.
Well, I remember a game years ago. It was illegal. I don't know if you heard of it. I think it was called Hostel 2. And I had a computer. We had a computer at home for a while, and I think it was one of my older brothers got it. I think it might have been on a floppy disk or something. And I put it on and I played it. And you had to rack up as many kills as possible. You just went about just killing people. Or it was Postal 2 it was called, not Hostel 2.
Postal I was going to say Hostel 2 is a movie, but I thought maybe maybe a different name over there.
It was called Postal 2. When you hear somebody say it's not a saying over here, but I've heard it. So he's went Postal.
Yeah, you got.
I think it was based on like a postman, maybe, but then killed a load of people. Or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was called Postal 2. So your aim was you went through each level, and you had to kill as many people as possible. And there was a level, which was this. You went down into the basement. You had to kill the Gimp.
Yeah. Oh, so another homage.
It was exactly like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Always reminds me of the game when I watch this. Butch pulls the curtain to the basement down. Makes his way in, pushes open the door to see the unthinkable happening to Marcellus by Zed, bent over a gym horse. Maynard's watching, sickly on, sweating, transfixed.
Yeah, he's like Dennis Nedry. What's his name? Ray Knight. What's his name?
Yeah, Wayne.
Wayne Knight in freaking Basic Instinct. Same
he is, isn't he? He's fucking loving it. He's probably jerking himself off too.
Oh, 100%. That's why he catches them off guard. They're into this.
Oh yeah. I said, oh yeah.
Fucking animal.
They are, and he turns and Butch slashes him across the chest, and Marcellus sees him coming, no pun intended, and Zed backs up. So Butch sticks the sword into him and into Maynard and points it at Zed, who steps towards him. I just made a note here, John. So that's 3 men Butch has killed in less than 24 hours.
He's on a run. He's a serial killer now.
No. And after the taxi driver asking, what is it like to kill a man?
Yeah, he's got a good feeling about it now.
Uh-huh. You want that gun, don't you, Butch? Or no, sorry, don't you, Zed? Go on. Pick it up.
You have it.
You want to? Attaboy.
Yeah.
And Marcellus shoots Zed in the groin.
Step aside, boy.
How did he get untied?
How did he get untied? And after what he just went through, get his pants up. He's feeling all right. Finds the gun. All in pretty damn fast. I thought the same thing.
It's a bit odd. I mean, obviously it's satisfying. That's what you want him to do.
You want it.
You want that. But I think to myself, like, well, how he was, how did he was tied, and I'm sure his feet were tied over that horse, and I just don't, and his pants down by his ankles.
Yeah, it's best not to think about how he got out of. Just know he got to get his sweet revenge.
Exactly. Another wee note here, John. I just want you to remember this. Marcellus Wallace does not like to be fucked by anybody but Mrs. Wallace.
He sure doesn't, and he takes this very personally.
Yeah. So he says, "What now?" No, he says, "What now?" And he says, "What now? I'm gonna get a few hard down here with a blowtorch and a pair of pliers."
And he's gonna live the rest of his short, miserable life in agonizing pain.
Rapist here. You hear me, hillbilly boy?
You hear me talking, hillbilly boy? I ain't through with you by damn sight. I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
I love how Bruce Willis is like, I mean, what now between me and you? See, I don't think Bruce, I'll be honest, I don't think Butch is thinking that far ahead. I think he's only thinking this now. He's like, I don't think he thought if I go back and save him, he's going to let me off. I think he just was like enraged that they're doing this. And after this, he's went, actually, you know what? Maybe I can get out of this.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, that what now?
There is no you and me. So Butch loses all his LA privileges.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. And so I've just made a note here as well, John. So Butch empathizes. That could have been him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they come to a mutual understanding. It's like even Marcel says, yeah, we're cool. Like, as long as you keep that between us, because what just happened is fucking so fucked up and something getting ass raped. Let's just keep that between us. You saved my life. I'd be dead without you. You may go. Don't show your fucking face again. Or as he says, on sight, which means he'll just fucking kill him the second he sees him. He'll remember everything that he fucking did to him. But you know what? Since he did me this favor, I'll let you have the courtesy of getting the hell out of LA tonight. And we ain't going to follow you.
It's not only that. It's like, what happened in there, right? Obviously, Marcellus doesn't want that getting out because that'll question his reputation. But what would also question his reputation is Butch walking about LA after what he done to him.
Yep.
So he can't have him walking about there. He will probably pretend he's disappeared. We can't find him. But if he ever shows his face, he's a dead man. Nobody rips me off. So he's got to keep that reputation up as well.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I think Marcellus would have done the same for Butch.
Yeah, I think so. Once you meet these two monsters, you realize that there's worse people in the world.
Yep, I think Butch would have went back, or Marcellus would have went back to save Butch. So Butch leaves. I like how he gives him the backhanded. He knows he's well.
Oh, I love that shot. Just the wave off.
He's like an Indian, saying goodbye. Butch takes Zed's chopper, and back in the motel, he picks up Fabian, and she's moaning again. And it's a chopper, baby. Whose chopper is this? Zed. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. And then we hear that song "Out of Limits" by the Markets, which is like a play on the Outer Limits, isn't it? Or the Twilight Zone or something. And we fade out. So
Yeah.
There we
Then
go.
we cut to the final chapter of the movie.
Yeah. Title card comes up, the Bonnie situation. And then you hear, yes, you did, Brett. Yes, you did. You tried to fuck him. And Marcellus Wallace doesn't like to be fucked by anybody but Miss Wallace. You read the Bible, Brett? So we fade in, and a man with a gun is in the bathroom, hiding, listening to this. And this is Robert Arquette, who is Rosanna's brother.
And David and Patricia's brother, too.
Yep. Who is now their sister, called Alexis.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that is very true.
Yep. So if he'd have stayed in here, he wouldn't have been killed.
Yep. And he said he was so worried. He's like, I don't want to die.
And we have a replay of Jules and Vincent shooting Brett. But this time we stay with the scene. And Marvin's terrified. And this man emerges from the bathroom and shoots at them. But somehow he misses. Now, did you notice that the bullets are already behind him before he even fires? Is that intentional, John?
No, I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, it's a continuity mistake.
Yeah, I think it's 100% a mistake. The walls were already put in place. They shot the shot, and then it was like, who's really going to notice? Because it's a quick shot before. It's very fast. It's only until you really notice, like if you watch the movie many times, because they're covering like 3 of the holes. You can only really see like 2 of them or something like that.
Yeah, you could see 3 of them, and then there's another 2 covered.
Yeah, because then
the 3 are like over their shoulders, So, but like you hear all these theories and all that. Oh, there was no bullets in the gun, and it wasn't divine intervention, and those holes were already in the wall. So, Jules's theory's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it was literally just a continuity error on their part, and then it's just like, who's going to really notice?
Yeah, and the editor was nominated for an Oscar.
I mean, hey, and that's the same editor of TMNT, right?
That's right. Yeah, Sally Maltgay.
I remember you telling the story on an earlier episode, which is a plug for that. Go check it out.
Yep, certainly do that. She made Donatello Fate. So Jules and Vincent shoot him dead, and they have that iconic shot of them just lifting the guns up and pointing it. Jules thinks it was divine intervention. Vincent is skeptical. They have this back and forth and stuff.
What do you feel on this?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Are you about what? About what exactly?
Whose side are you on, Jules or Vincent's? Because I'm solidly on Vincent's side on this, because I don't think if God were real, he'd step in to protect a murderer from being.
Well, why not, John? We're all sinners. He forgave a murderer on the cross.
True, but I just don't think that, like, at this moment he'd be stepping in to protect these people, unless we don't know exactly what happens, and like Jules becomes some sort of important figure down the line, and he needed this to happen for him, as he says. He's trying to become the shepherd, like he's trying now to be a good person, going to live the rest of his life walking the earth, which I don't believe he does, but you could believe it. I've just always been very solidly on Vincent's side, which could be my just skepticism towards religion in general.
Well, me and you have talked off camera about certain things, and I had a Catholic upbringing. I wasn't strict Catholic, but I went to a Catholic school, and I went to mass, and I done all the Catholic things. No pun intended, not religiously. I wasn't in mass every weekend, but I'm christened, communion, confirmation, and I wasn't really from a real religious household. But I have to say that when my daughter came along, I really started to rethink about all that kind of stuff, because I wasn't religious. And I think possibly because of my Catholic upbringing, I would say, be more inclined to think about divine intervention or accept divine intervention. Sometimes I think it's one of those things that people say, like, well, and until it happens to me, then I don't believe in it, right? But I don't know. I mean, that I think the point I'm trying to make is I think my upbringing would influence my outlook on this, right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to think here. It's like I can see both point of views. The only thing I will say is that because Jules believed that was divine intervention, he lived, and Vincent died.
It's a good way to look at it too.
Yes. So if you watch like The Sopranos, when Tony Soprano comes through his coma and he comes out from the hospital and feels as if he had there's always this whole debate in that series about he had a choice to go this way or that way. And if he had went that way, because he had this kind of spiritual thing happen to him when he was in the coma, right? But if he had went that way, he wouldn't have went down the path and ended up with him with what people think he died at the end. And I feel it's the same here. I feel as if what happens to Vincent a couple of days later vindicates Jules.
But we don't know how Jules ends up. That's up to our interpretation.
We don't, but we can assume that if he didn't, he would have been killed in that apartment, possibly.
True, it's possible that he would
killed
have been
in
there
that
that
apartment.
day.
Yeah,
Very true.
but possibly he could have saved Vincent from dying.
Also very true. Also, they could have got the jump on Bruce Willis and killed him.
So
there's a lot of ways to look at it, but you're right. But the divine intervention did change the whole path. If like this guy, but for me, for the way I always, because it's always like I'm literally, if this had ever happened, I would be Vincent in this situation. Like I said, a piece of shit, but I would have been there sharpening in his ear the whole time, saying, like, you believe that God came down to protect you, a murderer? Like, what did you see who we work for and what we do for a living? Now you could also make the argument, well, the guys in this room are also not very good people as well. So it's like, it's almost like a sinner killing another sinner kind of thing. Like these guys are operating in their own world. But I would definitely be all the arguments that Vince would be making. I'd be that guy.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Look, there's part of me kind of goes, it's just pure luck. He just missed. You know what I mean?
We got lucky, Jules.
Yeah, but if I was standing there and that happened to me, I think that it would be coming away. I mean, me as an outsider watching, I'm going, maybe that's luck. But if I was standing there,
you would have a moment of clarity.
Firing a gun straight at me, and you expect that's it, and you look like them and go, I think I may come away going, oh shit, what the fuck just happened there? Like him, I'd be like, we should be fucking dead. He's standing across. Remember this? Like they said, look at the size of that hand cannon. It was bigger than him.
It was bigger than him.
It was bigger than him. Like, I would be thinking like that, but again, I think that goes back to my upbringing. That's why I had to bring that up, because I do kind of think like that. And it's like you're saying about why would God save someone like him? But that's the whole thing. The whole thing with I can just speak about the Christian religion is that we're all sinners. God knows we're all sinners. The fact of the matter is we're going to go through life sinning. There's nobody goes through life without sinning. I understand that that they have like what would you call it, mortal sin and immortal sin and all this, and thou shalt not kill and all this business and all. But they say that if you repent, that you'll still go to the kingdom of heaven.
Always felt like a get out of jail free card for me.
Yeah, well, so he's repenting.
Yeah. I always felt like that's why people always want to make good on their deathbed, because it's like, you know what? I fucking was an asshole my whole life, but I know if I'm around and I can just get in good with God at the very end and say I'm sorry, I'll get to go to heaven. It's like, it seems too easy to me. But again,
if you look at it as well, like the fact that back to the start of the podcast when we're talking about the briefcase, and he put 666 in, and it's supposed to be his soul. Like what's 666 is the sign of the devil. So who's
saving his
Marcellus?
soul? Yeah.
So who's Marcellus then? Is Marcellus the devil?
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, he does a lot of devilish things, right? Like he's not a good person. Yeah. But nobody is in this movie.
So I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I can see both sides, you know what I mean, of it. I again, it's like the briefcase. I don't think I've ever really made a decision that it was one or the other.
But I thought, you know what, I figured it was just I'd ask you the question while we're in this moment, because it's a debate they're having. Yeah.
No, it's interesting, but I think I respect where Jules is coming from, and as I say, I think he's vindicated because we assume that he goes on to live, whereas Vincent died a few days later.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to believe that he went and did what he said. He's going to go walk the earth, like Vincent says, like a bum.
I have a name for that. It's a bum. So cut to Jules and Vincent and Marvin in the car, and they're still debating this. And as you say, he turns and he says to Marvin, "You got to have an opinion."
Well, you got to have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped? Oh,
what the fuck's happening?
Oh, man, man. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
I love how the gun goes off and there's just like a whoa, and then
Fucking blows the whole fucking thing with all the blood splatter.
yeah, but Vincent turns and goes, "Oh shit, man! I just shot Marvin in the face."
So nonchalantly between the both of them, like, you know, Vincent, like, he doesn't slam on the brakes or nothing, Jules. He just keeps driving. He's like, "Why'd you fucking do that?" Like, you know, that's just shows the lifestyle these guys live. They're just used to people dying around them.
Yeah, no, it doesn't phase him, and it does. He's just kind of like, he's like, "Can you just bring the car to a friendly place?" And he's like, "We ain't got no friendly places around here." But he says, "I'll call my partner in Toluca Lake, Jimmy."
Yeah.
What kind of partner is Jimmy?
He's got to be somehow involved, like in some sort of business with him, and I assume connected to Marcellus Wallace, because he's willing to like bring him in there. I guess he just wasn't expecting this, like, you know, what he's coming in for this for. But yeah, what do they do together? Like, I got my partner in Toluca Lake. What does that mean? I always thought about the same thing. No fucking clue.
Yeah, you know, now that we're thinking about it, I'm kind of like, maybe is he like, does he like money launder for him or something? Or so, I'm thinking something like, does he, if he has stolen goods, does he send it on them to sell on? I'm thinking maybe
Because they said he's not a friendly of Marcellus. Like, Marcellus doesn't have any friendlies in the valley, but he's but he's only a friendly to Jules.
Yeah, that's right. And the way he comes across, it's like he's not fazed by the whole thing, but he's pissed off that they've brought it to his door, right? So it's a bit weird. Yeah. So
I'm gonna get divorced. No separation, divorced.
I'm gonna get fucking divorced. So cut the Jules and Vincent in Jimmy's bathroom and getting cleaned up. And they debate Jimmy in the situation. And the heat starts rising because he's like, the towel's full of blood, and he's like, "Look at that, man. This is the type of situation that's going to bring this situation to a head."
he's like, but you saw me wash my hands. I saw you get them wet. I washed my hands, and then I had the towel didn't come out looking like that after I was done.
Yeah. Now I'm not threatening you enough. I respect you. So he's getting irate because of this situation. He's a nice man to just do a hit and bring the case to Marcellus, and that's it. And now
I would be pissed off at Vincent too. The way that Vincent's acting in this whole situation, it's all his fault. But he doesn't like people to boss him around and shit. It's like, dude, it's your fucking fault. We have to make this all work because you shot him.
Yeah. He doesn't like being told like he's in the wrong or he's done something wrong. Yeah. But we cut to the kitchen, and a bloody Vincent and Jules are drinking coffee, and Jimmy's peeved off. I love that shot of them too. No standing with the but with the coffee cups, and Samuel L. Jackson's trying to keep him sweet.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right?
I don't need you to tell me how fucking good my coffee is, okay? I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is. When Bonnie goes shopping, she buys shit. I buy the gourmet expensive stuff because when I drink it, I want to taste it.
I don't know about he says, I know I buy great coffee, but I'm not worried about the coffee in my kitchen. I'm worried about
that N-word in my garage. Like, you know.
Did you see a sign when you pulled up here? Did you see a sign that says dead storage? Jimmy, you know I didn't see no motherfucking sign. Did you see a sign that says dead storage?
Because storing is not my business.
It's not my business, okay?
Okay.
I love how he's like, Jimmy, you know I didn't see no motherfucking sign.
Yeah, I know. Like, come on, what are you trying to get at? Like, obviously, you know, but he's like, he's pissed, you know, obviously, because he's worried about his wife coming home and fucking seeing this because she doesn't know what the fuck he's involved in. You know, he lives in a nice little house in the valley. His wife's a nurse, like, you know.
Like, don't fucking Jimmy me, Jules. Don't fucking Jimmy me. She gets home from the graveyard shift at the hospital in an hour and a half. He's saying that.
The way that's the stuff that makes it feel like he's reading lines, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. but I love this character. I think this is my favorite character that Tarantino plays in all his movies.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's definitely the best.
Yeah, and I love how they're just standing there like two kids being told off by their dad.
They got to take it because they have no fucking choice. This is their only play.
Exactly. Okay, so, cut the Marcellus outside beside his pool, on the phone to Jules about the situation. And I love this, how they cut to this hypothetical conclusion of Bonnie coming home to see Jules and Vincent carrying Marvin's head, a headless body across the kitchen with Jimmy. You know, when they walk in, they're like, but I heard, you might know this, Bonnie, the character of Bonnie, she was referenced in another Tarantino movie, and they say it's the same character.
I've heard that too. I think it's Kill Bill.
Is it? I thought it was one I've seen.
Yeah, I can't recall exactly what it was. But
True Romance?
Maybe it's True Romance. That might make sense. Well, Alabama is referenced in Reservoir Dogs, and that's supposed to be like a Harvey Keitel connection. But I don't remember. I do remember hearing something about Bonnie being connected to somebody too.
Yeah. So cut back to Marcellus and Maze there, and he's sending the wolf.
He's like, "Shit, Negro, that's all you needed to say," and then hangs up.
You had to say. You better now, motherfucker.
So the wolf who's coming directly.
So the next scene, the wolf, played by Harvey Keitel, is on the phone in a bedroom, taking instruction and notes. Where is he?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Looks like he's at some kind of hotel party.
Yeah, is it like the morning of like a wedding, or like
I'm picturing some gambling, like some fucking hotel fucking poker game.
But he's sitting in a bedroom. It's like a bungalow or something.
Well, that's why I said like a hotel party.
Yeah, and there's like middle-aged people and kids in the living room, and he's in a tux. Or well, no, sorry, he's in a suit with a dickie bow, wouldn't he?
Yeah, like a bowler's tie. Don't know what the fuck he's doing. Yeah, I just because it looks like a hotel room beds the way the two double beds next to
the two double beds are.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, it's some kind of hotel room. That's why I'm picturing some sort of hotel party. But you're right, there's fucking kids out there. So it's early in the morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet.
Yeah, it's really odd. I wasn't like, is it a wedding he's at, or is he going there, with some kind of family function he's at? I don't know.
I don't fucking know. But he's got always reachable by Marcellus somehow. And I love when he's taking the notes down about the names. He writes down no head.
Yeah, so I had wrote that down. He wrote Jules Black, Vincent White, Jimmy, Bonnie, one body, no head. And he says something along the lines of like, that's 15 minutes away. I'll be there in 10. Something
30
like that.
minutes away. I'll be there in 10, and then we get the little
30.
cut card, and then he gets there in 9 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah, that's right. And you see the wolf's car just put up outside. Jimmy opens the door, and the wolf's standing there, and he lets him in. I believe you have a problem. You must be Jimmy. Yes, we have a problem. May I come in? Come on in. So the wolf goes to the kitchen to find Jules and Vincent, and he briefs them. They bring him out to the garage, to the car, and he says, "Jimmy, I thought I smelled some coffee back there. You wouldn't make me a cup?" And he says, "Sure, Mr. Wolf." And he goes back to the kitchen, and Jimmy gives Wolf the cup of coffee.
Did you hear how he takes his coffee, by the way?
Oh, how do you take it?
Lots of cream, lots of sugar.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. But I love when he hands him the coffee, he takes a sip of it, and he looks at Jimmy, and he goes, and Jimmy's all chuffed with himself.
Yeah. Everyone likes his coffee.
Yeah. No, when Jules was complimenting him, he was like, "Don't fucking Jimmy me, Jules." And do you see the way Jimmy calls him Julie?
Yeah.
So he gives his instructions, which irritates Vincent. A please would be nice.
Yeah, that's what I mean about Vincent being just a fucking prick. It's like, it's your fucking fault.
Yeah. Well, it pisses the wolf off, and he says,
Oh, yeah.
"Pretty please, with sugar, was it the cherry on top?
With sugar on top.
Car. It was sugar on top? With sugar on top."
If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast, and I need you guys to act fast if you want to get out of this. So, pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car.
Pretty please with sugar on top. Pretty please with sugar on top. Clean the fucking car.
Yeah. And Jules stares at him. "Don't. I can feel your stare." Yeah. So the wolf is in a bedroom on the phone to Joe. Monster Joe's truck and tow, the car crashing company. So again, there's another theory that this is actually Joe from Reservoir Dogs.
Well, there's a deleted scene where we see Monster Joe, if I'm correct.
Right. Okay.
So
okay,
that makes sense.
Yep. He then talks with Jimmy about his fine linen, because he says about it's like wedding gifts, and he's like,
from his aunts and uncle and something like that. And he's like, you know what? your aunt and uncle would have wanted you to have some nice new linen, and this is something that your uncle Marcellus Wallace would be more than happy to do. I'm an oak man myself, Jimmy. Do you like oak?
Yeah. I say, oak's good.
Oak's good.
Yeah. So cut to Jules and Vincent cleaning the inside of the car, and things start getting heated up. So, yeah, I love how he says them. I'm cleaning the windows. You should be in back cleaning brain detail.
Yeah. I agree. It's his fucking fault.
Yep. So he's really pissed off. He has to do this. So cut to the wolf inspecting the car. And Vincent's standing there chuffing himself. So he is. And Jimmy comes out and goes, I can't believe this is the same car. And the wolf says, well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet. So that's phase 1. Yeah. The next scene, Jules and Vincent are getting washed. That's phase 2, cleaning the M2. And the strip in the back garden, put their clothes in a garbage bag. We call them black bags here, John. Yeah. And the wolf sprays them with the hose.
I'm sure you both in the county, boys.
Yeah. And after Jimmy gives him the soap, I love how he goes, Vincent.
Yeah.
Jules. And they dry off and get changed into Jimmy's clothes, and then we'll have this fade out and fade in. And he's like, what do they look like, Jimmy? And he's like, dorks. They look like a couple of dorks. They're new clothes, motherfucker. Brilliant. So the wolf throws the garbage bag in the trunk of the car where Marvin's body is, and instructs the next stage. So yeah. So I love how he says he says to Vincent about, do you think you can keep your spurs in check? And he says to him, I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf. I don't know what happened. The gun just went off. So they're starting to kind of like, calm down a bit.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to get out of this.
Yeah. So we cut to Monster Joe's used auto parts, and the wolf emerges with Joe's daughter. I love how he comes out and he says, gentlemen, one day this will be all hers. And she says, are you guys going to, you guys going to a surf party or something?
It looks like you're going to something, right? I don't remember.
Are you guys going to a surf party or something? And then he laughs and he says, can I bring you somewhere, gentlemen? And he says, Englewood. And he says, I see.
It's your future.
It's a cab ride. Good day, gentlemen. And I love how they shake hands and they thank him for his great work. And I love this line about he says there, I respect young lady. It shows character. And she's like, I have character. And he's like, just because you have character just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Yeah, these two like each other. It's a nice little back and forth. Like him and Monster Joe must be pretty close.
But he says, I was going to ask this, is he banging her? Because he says, I'm going to take my lady to breakfast.
I took that more as a friendly, like I'm taking this guy's daughter to breakfast because he's like,
as a thank you.
As a thank you, it's my friend's daughter. We're friends, like like a family friend. That's how it felt to me, at least.
Yeah,
because the way they talk and they're back and forth, and the way how much he looks a lot older than her, kind of felt like that.
Yeah, I think he's banging her.
Maybe Winston is. Call me Winston.
Yeah, that's right. Call me Winston.
I love the underneath shot too of like the car taking off with the dust shooting up at the camera.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So it is. So they're going to call a cab, and Vincent says to Jules, you want to have breakfast with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. I don't know. I just get a sickly feeling here because I'm just like, after all the murder and all they've done, there you can just go to breakfast.
Yeah, well, what's weird is like, you'd think they'd have to stay. Maybe that, like they were like, oh, rides and everything like to our places where we live. Maybe they wanted to get changed, but we know that they have to go meet Marcellus.
Well, I was thinking about this when I'm just doing this podcast. And the thing is that, so they were to pick the case up, and I'm assuming that maybe they were to drop the case off at Marcellus's house. But obviously I made this up in my head, but obviously because of what's happened, they have to, an hour, whatever, to clean the car, whatever it is. He's probably went, listen, I have a meeting at the club, bring it there instead.
Yeah.
So they know he's going to be at the club, maybe. So they've got a wee bit of time.
Yeah, so they got to kill some time or something like that. But like, but they were gonna separate. Like, he told them like where they lived, and they were like separated. And then it's like, oh,
yeah.
So they were gonna get breakfast, and then we know after breakfast they go to Marcellus's club.
Yeah.
Or the bartenders club. We don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. True. Paul.
And Paul.
I'm Paul, and it's between you
Between
all.
you all.
So we cut to the Hawthorne Grill, and Jules and Vincent are having breakfast, discussing the wolf, food, pigs and dogs. And then Jules goes back to the miracle that just happened that morning. And I love that back and forward all about, you want some bacon? And he's like, no. And he's like, why are you Jewish? And he's like, no, because pigs are filthy animals. I love that, dogs have personality. So if a pig had a personality, would it cease to be a filthy animal?
It'd have to be a real fucking charming pig.
So we've really already discussed the miracle, haven't we?
Yeah, we've discussed it pretty much. They're having a discussion until Vincent finally says, fuck it, I'm gonna go take a shit. And then, he goes off, and that's when we hear in the background, the situation from the beginning of the movie, but with a different line.
Everybody be cool, this is a robbery!
Any of you fucking pricks move! And I'll execute every one of you motherfuckers!
Yes. Well, a brief cut, the Ringo. And I've written here, now it all makes sense, because I remember when I seen this scene, I was like, fuck. Yes, with them back to the start, this makes sense now. It all ties in. I remember being kind of surprised and relieved at that. Like, oh, this makes sense now. But I love how Vincent gets up to go to the bathroom and he says, to be continued, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's like, he's raging, but his friend is like leaving him.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, we'll continue on this. He's very opinionated. They're both very opinionated.
They both are, yeah. But I don't think he can wrap his head around that, because even though you said they were very different at the start, but in a lot of ways they're not, because they're both hitmen. They're having good banter. They've a lot in common, and maybe from different areas of the city or whatever. But they've been working together, and all of a sudden he's just changed, just like that. Like, I'm giving this all up, and I'm just leaving, and he's going, what? Seriously? You know what I mean? So he can't get his head around it.
Yep. He can't. And I get that. Like, you're going to flip on a dime because what happens tomorrow. But in his mind, he's like, well, I would have been dead this morning. So if this didn't happen, so I better make a change.
Yeah. Make that change. Man in the mirror. Cut to the opening shot, John, of the movie with Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. They threaten everybody to get down. Jules doesn't. Do you notice when he comes out with a gun? Jules is just sitting there eating nothing.
Because, they, again, so used to violence.
Yep, not fazed at all, not bothered. Or he could have comfort in the Lord is with me.
Could be. It could be. I just think it's like how he reacted in the car. Like, it's just like, they're just so used to this kind of thing. He's like, he ain't going to get fucking anything from me. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, but he ain't getting anything from me. Yeah.
And Ringo chases the goons out of the kitchen. The manager comes out and Ringo grabs him. And he says, you want to be a hero? So he puts the gun, puts his head to the counter, and I love how he comes out. The owner comes out and he's like, "We'll cooperate. Yeah, there's not going to be any problems here. You give me a fucking problem." And meanwhile, Vincent's on the toilet reading his book, oblivious to what's
the whole thing.
Yep. And then Ringo raids the till, lifts a black bag, and instructs all the customers to throw their wallets in. So cut this shot from under Jules's table. He pulls his gun, cocks it, lifts his wallet, and he raises it up above his head. Ringo notices this. He approaches Jules, and he puts his wallet in the bag. He wants the case, but Jules refuses to give him it. So a wee bit of negotiation goes on here. Threatens to shoot Jules. I love how Jules says, "I don't want to ruin your ego," but that's not the first time I've had a gun pointed at me. And
Not
he
even
says,
today.
and I love how he's like, "We have a hero in our midst. No, we have a vigilante in our midst, Honey Bunny." And I think she's like, "Shoot him in the face."
Yeah.
But Jules has to give in, and he opens it up, and he's dazzled by the glow inside the case. So Jules pulls Ringo's arm and puts a gun to his head, and Yolanda starts to freak out like a psycho bitch.
Yeah. Tell that bitch to chill.
Say chill, bitch, chill. And he tells Ringo, drop his gun, put his hands on the table, and go and sit opposite him. And then when Vincent emerges from the bathroom with his gun drawn on Yolanda, and then all shit, there he fucking kicks off again. But of course, Jules calms him down, controls the situation. Bitch, be cool. And he says to him that to take his wallet out of the bag. Which one is it? No, it's the one that says bad motherfucker.
Yep. I love that. That it actually does say bad motherfucker. And then when he gets it, he's like, there's my bad motherfucker.
Do you know that was Quentin Tarantino's wallet?
Really? Well, you could buy the bad motherfucker wallet. My cousin Matt, who you know, had that wallet.
Did he? Well, that was his. He owned that.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, like I said, the Tarantino loved this kind of shit. It makes sense that also that Jules just one of the coolest characters in film history. He's fucking cool. Man, he's cool here this whole time.
But you wouldn't imagine Tarantino would be a bad motherfucker, though, would you?
When I'm watching the movies and I see how he casts himself, he imagines himself as a bad motherfucker. He thinks he's the fucking coolest person. He's a fucking dork. And no matter which way you spin it, he's a dweeb.
He is a geek. Don't fucking Jimmy me, Jules. Okay.
Yeah, he just thinks that he's this fucking badass, but he's not.
he's not, though. So when Jules instructs Ringo to take the money, and I hope he's already paid for his breakfast, John.
I know. Well, he's getting it for free because he's about to walk the fuck out of there anyway.
he is, and he says, "You read the Bible, Ringo? There's this passage I've got memorized. Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man." So he hawks this to him, and at the end he says to him, "If you heard that, it usually meant that was your ass. But you've lucky. But I think he says earlier on, doesn't he? You're lucky you've caught me in a transitional period."
I saw some shit this morning made me think twice. See, now I'm thinking maybe it means you're the evil man and I'm the righteous man. And Mr. 9mm here, he's the shepherd protecting my righteous ass in the valley of darkness. Or it could mean you're the righteous man and I'm the shepherd. And it's the world that's evil and selfish. Now, I'd like that. But that shit ain't the truth. The truth is, you're the weak.
So anyway, Jules lets them go and they leave.
Yeah,
and I love how he fit. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I love how he explains to him what he's going through and how he interprets this Bible verse, and like, you know, how he's explaining, like, you know, sometimes I considered myself now to be the shepherd, like, you know, but he's like, you know, he considers that, you know, what he's supposed to do, like, you know, he's supposed to be like who the evil man is and who the weak are, and he tells him that you are the weak. You know, for me, like I said, Vincent is the weak, and Jules is trying to be the shepherd. I think it's very much part of the themes of the movie, of like how these men that we see out throughout the whole movie are greedy men. Like that's all they are. They are greedy men. And for one of the characters, Jules, after they've had this moment of clarity, now he wants to be the shepherd, where he was the evil man. That's what he was. He was a fucking evil man. He was a killer, you know. But now he's starting to see, like, you know, I'm trying to change, Ringo. I'm trying.
And do you think by him explaining this to Ringo, do you think, I imagined this the other night because I know we were going to be doing this podcast, I imagine what would become of Ringo. Do you think he came away and went to her, we're not robbing anymore, we're going we're getting day jobs, we're not doing this anymore?
We're done. That was our last one because they were gonna be done, and then they came to have this conversation and literally just decided on a whim to, like, all right, let's do it now. And they got fucking really lucky that day that this guy didn't kill them, because he easily could have. The two of them could have easily killed him, but he letting him go. He's like, I'm not gonna let you give that man $1,500. I'll shoot him on principle.
Yeah. Do you feel shortchanged that didn't kill them as an audience member?
No, I actually love how this kind of worked out for them, because in a way, he's trying to be the shepherd, and he is the shepherd in this moment. He's trying to lead a weak man. Hopefully, like him, this guy now has a moment of clarity, because at the beginning of this, they're both not good people. But he's like, you know what? I've had a changing moment. Maybe I can be this moment of change for you now.
Okay.
Which is what he wants to be. That's what, in his mind, in this moment, at least on that day, which I think we've all kind of had these moments, these epiphanies where we're going to make these changes in our lives. And, you know, like stop things that we're doing, it whether it be something as minute as like fucking like changing your diet. Like, I'm not going to be some fucking fat fuck anymore. I'm not going to do drugs anymore. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. I'm going to make that change in my life. For him, I'm going to stop fucking killing people for Marcellus Wallace, but you're going to stop now robbing people, robbing innocent people.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what he's trying to be, and he's going to be that, and that's what he imagines himself going to do, is being the shepherd. That's what I think. That's why the whole Ezekiel 25:17 ties into everything in this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I see that, and you're right as well. It's about just doing the right thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know?
Just doing the right thing in this moment.
Whether it's minuscule, you know, like you say, it could be stop smoking, it could be stop drinking, it could be anything as small as that, right up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I take it away, and that's why I love that. I love it's one of the best monologues. It's even better than him doing it in the beginning of the movie. The beginning of the movie, it's like badass, but like this moment, the way he explains it, it's great. You're just with him, and like I love it. Like, I'm really trying, Ringo. I'm really trying to be the shepherd. Like, you know, it's not easy for me because what he really wants to fucking do is the real Jules to come out and fucking shoot him in the face.
Yeah. Well, he certainly shits himself when he's got the gun pointed at him. And, you know, I love how, like, you know, he's like, "How you doing, Yolanda?" And she's like, "I want to go pee. I want to go home." And he says, "Hold in there. You're doing real well."
We're
And
almost
then she's like, "I love you, honey bunny. I love you." I know what I mean? He's like really dejected. You know what I mean? But, you know, you know, in a lot of ways, I suppose he could come away from that as well, as you say, thinking I could be dead there. You know, that's the same epiphany that Jules had, only in a different way.
Yeah. You ever heard the term like pass it down the line? You know, continue the chain. You know, that's pretty much like, you know, someone did that for me. I'm gonna do this for you. But you know, it's not like an act of kindness. It is kind of an act of kindness, but it's just like a stroke of luck, you know, like kind of like, this could change your life kind of moment. You know, something terrible could actually change your life today.
Yeah. Very good, John. Yeah, I think you're right. So so I like how Vincent comes over and he whispers to him and he's like, "I think we should go now." And he's like, "Yeah, I think you're right." And they get up and they start walking out like rock stars. And the song comes on, Surf Raider by the Lively Ones, I think that is. And here's our anti-heroes walking out. And I love that we kind of strut the do as they're walking out. Bing, 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 bing. And then they walk out, and then it cuts to black, and it says written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. And as soon as it ends, I'm sad. I want to continue watching these guys. Do you know what I mean? But of course, we can go back and watch the second story again. Or sorry, the first story again. We can go back to the start again when they come walking into the Paul's bar.
Yep, we could, exactly. And I don't think this movie works when you watch it linearly. If it were to end with Fabian and fucking Butch driving off on the motorcycle, I think you have to end it this way, because I think that's the best arc in the story, is Jules and Vincent's in this moment, and like, leading from the beginning and the end and the epiphany and everything that's happens. I think it only would work as well this way.
Yeah, I think it would be an experiment. I've never done it. If you go on Wiki, it tells you the order to watch the movie in, because there's like even though there's 3 stories, there's like prologues and stuff and epilogues. I've never watched it that way. I think it would be a great experiment to watch it that way. But I agree with you. It probably wouldn't be as good a movie, and it would be very much, in my opinion, an anti-climax in a lot of ways. The end with that whole scene with the hillbillies and Bruce Willis and all that business. So I think it's perfect the way it is.
I agree. It works perfectly this way, because I think we get the very satisfying conclusion that we want to our story.
Yeah. So first of all, before we do our final conclusions, John, to be perfectly honest here, the box office, it made $213.9 million at the box office from an $8 million budget. Apparently, they were given $8.5 million, and they give $500,000 back.
Huh. Wow, coming in under budget, pretty damn nice.
And it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Yeah, that's a pretty big achievement.
Yep, it was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, John Travolta, Best Supporting Actor, Samuel L. Jackson, Best Supporting Actress, Uma Thurman, Best Screenplay written directly for the screen, and Best Film Editing. And it only won 1 Oscar, which was the Best Screenplay.
Yep, which is well deserving on that. It is the best screenplay of 1994. What a year. Like I've said a million times, should have won Best Picture, but I also feel like the safer Best Picture is Forrest Gump. It's just,
Yeah.
me being a little biased, of course. I still would have gave Best Director to Tarantino that year. If you're not going to give him the Best Picture, you could easily split it. You don't have to, go Robert Zemeckis. Who did Robert Zemeckis win that year for Best
Yeah,
Director?
he did. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think Forrest Gump pretty much near swept. I think it won 5, didn't it? That won
Yeah.
Best Actor, Best Picture,
Which
Best Director,
who won Best Supporting that year? I don't understand how Samuel Jackson doesn't win.
Actor.
But he's in Best Supporting, right?
Was it Morgan Freeman
Oh, was it Morgan Freeman? Let me see. I gotta look and see who won.
for Shawshank? He didn't win, did he? Martin Landau won. Ah, right. Okay.
For Ed Wood.
Ed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
I like Ed Wood, but no, that I don't know how that's
yeah.
And I like Ed Wood, but no, I don't know how you don't give it to freaking you know what it was, that movie Ed Wood, as much as I enjoy it and I think it's a great Tim Burton film, it's a movie about making movies, so that's always like something that appeals to the Academy. They like to jerk each other off, so it makes sense.
Look, I've been outspoken on our podcast. I think it before about I think there's been a false narrative created over the years that Pulp Fiction should have won Best Picture. For me, if Forrest Gump deserved Best Picture, I think that picture's phenomenal. I think Pulp Fiction's phenomenal, but I just think that I know this is your second favorite movie. I think it places Forrest Gump above it personally because I absolutely love Forrest Gump. Yeah. But it's taken that away from Pulp Fiction. I think there's the story of Forrest Gump. It's just it's something that everybody can kind of enjoy and relate to. Whereas this is a wee bit off center. This is a wee bit weird, right?
It is. And I get the violence and the drug use and who these characters are. It's very niche. I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just that I personally have a love for this movie, and I really think Samuel Jackson's performance is special. So I'm like, and I get it. Like I just think you could have split it. Like, that's what I mean. Give Forrest Gump the Best Picture. I get that. It's the safer pick. It's something that's going to appeal to the masses a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to give it to Pulp Fiction. That's fine. I think it's the better film, but I understand. I also really love Forrest Gump. 94 is like one of those years where you can almost look at it like 75 and 76, where there was just a lot of good movies that came out that year, and it's kind of hard. Like, I think you and I are both not as high on Shawshank Redemption as other people, but there's people who believe Shawshank should have won in 94.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, that's what I'm saying about revisionist kind of like history. In my opinion, is that a lot of people come out and say like Forrest Gump didn't deserve it. It was Shawshank or it was Pulp Fiction. I don't agree with that. I think I mean, for the Academy, that's got so much wrong, John, over the years in its history, but I think they got it right that year. I really do. Maybe not so much for the Best Supporting Actor. I haven't seen Ed Wood. It's one that I've been meaning to watch for a long time. But I agree. If Samuel L. Jackson won Best Supporting, I don't think I'd have an argument with that. But the likes of the Best Actor, for me, Best Director as well, and Best Picture is Forrest Gump, in my opinion. I remember the story that Tarantino told a story about what they felt was the snub that they got for Pulp Fiction, and it almost seemed to come across that it's because they weren't part of the club. And we know, listen, sometimes it's like that in Hollywood, or a lot of the time. But Spielberg phoned him up and asked did he want to come hunting with him, and it was him, and I think a few of his, I think it was like De Palma, people like that. And they were talking about the Oscars, and Spielberg pretty much told me he wasn't going to win.
Yeah, well, he knows not being a part of the club.
Well, apparently, he wasn't happy. And I'm paraphrasing there. I can't remember the exact story, but he wasn't happy. And Spielberg's word to him was, "Second movie, your first wee golden statue for screenplay." And he went, "It's not a bad start." That's what Spielberg said to him. Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. So you can definitely take that with as a positive. It's just 94, he ran into a buzzsaw, and 90. I think if it's 95, he wins.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nick, you look at, as you just said there, my favorite movie, the year Jaws came out. The older I get, the more I think Jaws was robbed. I certainly think Robert Shaw was robbed big time. He wasn't even nominated, but to lose out to a movie like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I can live with. I love that movie. And that's why I kind of look at this year and go, losing the Forrest Gump, there's no shame in that.
No, it's not. That's what makes it. Like I said, it's almost the exact same situation as you feel with Jaws. I love Forrest Gump. It almost sounds like when you're like a complaint, like but it's like, well, it's just that this happens to be my second favorite movie that's ever been made. So of course, but it's not like, oh, Forrest Gump's a shit movie. I love Forrest Gump. I can watch that every year as well.
Yeah, exactly, mate. 100%. And my outro, my thoughts for the movie, John. I know you look forward to this every
I do.
month. Okay, been working hard on this one. So just to please you. So Quentin Tarantino's epic crime caper injected itself into 90s pop culture, influencing a generation. With its unconventional narrative structure, memorable characters, and compelling dialogue, this landmark film truly is a remarkable and entertaining piece of cinema. Pulp Fiction made writer-director Tarantino a household name, cementing itself as one of the best movies of the decade.
That was beautiful, and I couldn't agree more. And to just follow up on that, you get a movie that saved John Travolta, gave him a nice little run through the 1990s, where people started to remember this guy, including myself. Like, this isn't just Danny Zuko. Really gave Samuel Jackson the great career that he ended up having, and then of course Quentin Tarantino would follow this up with many other great films. Even though I never felt like he ever hit the highs of Pulp Fiction ever again. Jackie Brown is a great follow up to this, but this was one of those special films, and without this film, I wouldn't be the cinephile that I am today.
And you wouldn't be here today doing this with me?
No, I don't think I would be.
Good. Something good came out of it then.
Yeah. One good thing.
One good thing. That's it.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we hope you enjoyed this journey with us. We know it was a long one, but we had a lot of fun with you. I know I had a lot of fun discussing with David. I was really excited for this. So I appreciate you being here and doing the show with me today.
Listen, John, I appreciate it too. And I really hope that we've done this one justice for you. I know that today was just like Pulp Fiction itself. It was a bit unconventional for us because there's so much dialogue in this movie that we couldn't just sit and read dialogue for hours on end. So we hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope, as I say, John, we've done it justice.
I think so. And David, you want to tell good folks what we'll be doing next on the Let's Talk Movies podcast?
Right. On the Let's Talk Movies podcast, we will be stepping back into the ring with Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3.
Hell yeah. Very much looking forward to that. So yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed over here to this YouTube channel so you can find out about all our shows, not just this show, but also Access Cinema Appreciation and our monthly live show where we discuss a certain topic, such as our most recent one, which is on Arrow Video Quarter 2. Or was it Quarter 3? So anyway.
Quarter 2.
Quarter 2. So make sure you can check that out on replay as well. But if you want to just listen to the Let's Talk Movies podcast, not the live show or Access Cinema Appreciation, it is also available in podcast form on Spotify. So just search the name and you will find it. But of course, David always puts the link in the description below anyway, so you can check it out on there. So thank you guys so much for being here with us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be catching you next time.